Holy moly, Gorgonzoli. I do believe that I am live. While I'm waiting for people to show up to this live stream, for those of you who are VOD viewers, I always like to speak to you independently because there truly are more of you than there ever will be live viewers. And I'm going to tell you about this magazine I wrote and to make sure the game audio is at an appropriate volume. Tell me if anything's wrong with my audio, people. Check it out. I made a magazine. So far, I've sold it 5 times. Wait, let's refresh. Yeah, 5 times. So I need more of you to buy this thing because it's only $3 and it's dope. It's 10 cents a page. You get 30 whole pages, although 4 of them are free. They're right here, the free samples. Well, there's also a back cover, but the back cover and front cover, this is the back cover. The front cover is just a table of contents, as you can see here. But yeah, I created this magazine because I wanted to be able to sell something cool. I've been mostly making my money for the last few months through live stream super chats and requests, usually where people request me to watch something. If I buy the magazine when we watch the Murder Jones finale. Unrelated subjects, Lapusha. This will not get you any closer to that. This will just get you a sick magazine that you can read. The Murder Jones finale will happen when I have time. But right now, what I'm worried about is I don't the YouTube thing. I don't trust it very much. The whole live streaming thing, it doesn't tend to go very well for me in terms of copyright, in terms of losing monetization, having to switch platforms, having to redo shit all the time. Frankly, it's fucking tiring. And if I could make money through other avenues, I would love for this to be more of a secondary thing for me and not the main thing I focus on. It's fun to watch stuff by request, but it's not very creatively fulfilling. It doesn't feel like I'm making something. I'm literally just watching someone else's thing and commenting on it occasionally. Sometimes I might have some, I don't know, creative commentary, I guess, but it's mostly more like a fun thing to do with the people who are live. And it's not really like long-term survivable, interesting, rewatchable content that you can return to and like have, you know? And I wanted to create something that wasn't reliant on being on any of these platforms at all, like not just a YouTube video or whatever, something that's gonna get taken down. Like this is something that can't be removed now that it's on the internet, like there's not any like copyright infringement. There's nothing that's gonna get it removed from itch.io, or my ability to just sell. Like if somebody just wanted to buy this from me by Venmoing me money, I could just send it to them. Is there a way you can buy the magazine for someone else? Yeah, you can buy it as a gift. When you buy, it'll be like, yeah, give this as a gift, and then you can do that. But yeah, it's cool stuff. I would sit here and read it, the free pages to you, but I don't want to. I don't want to spend all day on advertising my magazine. This is still the Umineko live stream fundamentally, but I've been really into magazines since I was a little kid, and unfortunately, magazines died as soon as I was an adult. So I never really got the chance to become a writer for a magazine or like get together people to make a magazine. And the prospect of doing it as like a group effort, it's like there's no way. The amount that it costs to make like a special interest magazine without any advertising, it's going to take so much. You have to make such a big deal out of it that you'd only ever be able to do it like once every couple of years, probably, if you were really trying to get like a bunch of artists together with no overarching like funding from some kind of major company, some kind of publisher. Like you're just trying to independently do a magazine. trying to do it on the level. I'm basically making fun of Vito's ridiculous idea, because Vito keeps talking about how he wants to make a magazine and get all these people he knows from the internet to write in it, and he's going to make a big deal out of it and make it a physical thing. And it's like he's finished a Kickstarter more than a year ago for a fucking comic that's still not out yet, that's past its deadline by 8 months. Why does he think he's going to be able to do something involving tremendously more people than the one that he already can't wrangle like 2 fucking people to get done? That's insane. I wrote this whole magazine by myself. I was able to get this thing made in about a week. If this thing makes $500, I will break even on it, on my time investment, and I will be ready to make another one. So it's so much easier to imagine this as a sustainable model of business. Now, this is only possible because I can write 30, box-sized pages of magazine in such a short amount of time. And granted, for this issue, I did take a bunch of stuff I had written already that I just had lying around that I didn't know what to do with, that was like formatted for a magazine. I kind of think and write in magazine article terms a lot of the time. So you'll write about how Brazilians are bad at schizo posting. You're trying to rectify it by channeling my influence. That would be fun. Yeah, get real Denpa about it. Are you talking about making your own magazine? Is there a reason my mic is so poopy? Uh-oh. Probably. Let's find out. Yep.
All right. Good thing you caught that before I started reading the book. That would have been really bad. You ask it why streaming isn't fulfilling. It is literally just not creative. So early on, when I first started doing the live streaming where I was doing the vertical streaming, walking around outside, that was pretty fun because I was just coming up with ideas and ranting about stuff. And then people would give me super chats to rant about something that they had on their mind, and I would go on about that. And it felt inventive and like I was constantly coming up with things. But as soon as I started offering to watch stuff for money, that became the only thing anybody would pay me to do, because I guess they just saw it as a better value investment than like getting me to rant about something. Maybe because it's a guaranteed amount of time. Like if you pay $5 for a rant and I only rant for a few minutes, you might feel unfulfilled. But if you know you're getting exactly 5 minutes, I don't know why. I don't know what psychologically creates this desire. Maybe you just really like watching shows with people. Personally, I never watch anything with anybody. So unless I'm like, unless it's my partner. So it's a weird thing for me to try to imagine being on the other side of. Like, it's not something I would consume, but it's easy enough to do. And if my goal was just like to make a bunch of money quickly in the easiest way I know how, that's basically why I was doing it, why I've been doing it. But I don't know. It's fun to do sometimes. It's not fun to do as your main gig, because it just means that I'm not doing anything creative at all for money. It means that my job is like to watch other people's shit, which is not really interesting to me as like a way of life, particularly like watching stuff that I ordinarily wouldn't have sought out, like that I just wouldn't have consumed. It's a little too much just like doing a normal job, like it's not like, oh, I'm doing something cool and therefore people want to support me. It's like this cool thing exists and people want an excuse to engage with it. I don't know. You rarely pay for rants because the best rants are going to be free. Yeah, and so that's the other thing, is that like I don't know how to do video content in a way that I paywall it without it feeling like unsatisfying. Like if I just start ranting about a subject and then I cut the video off after 3 minutes and I say, all right, now you have to go watch the other 7 minutes on Patreon, like that sucks. Nobody's going to want that. With this, it was easy enough for me. Every page is its own thing. I mean, there's a couple of like articles that go on for multiple pages. As you can see here, there's a Yoko Kanno's Brainwashing Made Anime My Religion, Borda Sorta, and the first Tezuka feature are all multi-page articles, but mostly it's like independent pieces each page. So giving away a few of them and then saying like, okay, you can have a bunch more that are like this doesn't feel like I'm, blue balling you out of like not getting the ending of the piece you were consuming, which is what I hate about, again, with video. It's like I can't promise you, like I'm not going to make part 1 and then paywall part 2. That just kind of sucks, but I don't like making content that's exclusively behind a paywall because I want everyone to see it, and even with this, like my intention isn't for this to be hidden. Once you own it, you can do whatever the fuck you want with it. I watermarked all the pages. They're all built to look good on social media. I don't care if it gets reshared. I just wanted to be able to sell a thing that's cool, in like a reasonable way that everybody understands. You get 30 JPEGs. They're permanently in your phone. They're all built to be readable on your phone without resizing because they're all exactly 900 by 900. It's the optimal size for Twitter and Instagram and everything. Anyway, enough about my magazine. We got to play Umineko. All that's going to be cut out of the edited version. By the way, if you didn't catch it, there's a whole 20-hour edit of the first chapter now. Didn't even save as PNG. It's a JPEG magazine. It's not a PNG magazine. Am I still working on Sunops? Not actively yet. That's another one where I don't know how to monetize it. Like I don't know how to share it and keep it to myself. Like if I wrote a whole book, released the first chapter and said you had to buy the full book, I would just feel bad that more people didn't get to read the book. With this magazine, it's like, I think there's a kind of permanence to images where like, it's a lot harder to get rid of them. It's a lot harder to, yes, I am running as administrator. Just write the full book and sell the full book, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. It's weird because I don't really I don't pay for art to consume it personally. I pay for art that I like or that is from artists I already like. I guess I could see if you're just already a fan of me, you would buy the book because you like me. But I wouldn't imagine myself, if I didn't know who I was, just buying my book at not already being a fan of it, Like I personally watch a show and then if I really love it, I buy something related to it. And that's always what I've struggled with is like, well, what do I sell that's related to it? Because I've never been able to put myself on a Blu-ray, or anything like that. So because of copyright reasons. So ultimately I see images as something that you can easily hold on to. It doesn't take up space, data space or physical space, but it's easy to revisit. It's easy to reread. It's easy to keep on hand. You don't feel like you have to delete it to make space, just because you'll not buy a book doesn't mean people won't buy a book. I have a really hard time making anything I wouldn't buy. That's why this whole struggle I have as a YouTuber is all about my inability to conceptualize of doing something I wouldn't do or respecting people who would. I don't know how to show respect to my fans if I think that they're doing something dumb. Like buying physical media is dumb. It's just dumb. It's not I don't even though I do it, I buy physical media, I have it. Sometimes I view it as an investment thing, but it's not. It diminishes in value as soon as you have it. You can always just find it digitally. It's hard to store. It's hard to carry around and move if you're somebody who's on the move like I am. It's just dumb, why? I don't know. It's just like a nostalgia thing. I see it as, so I don't want to sell a book. There's no game audio. Uh-oh. I've been sitting here listening to the pleasant sound of, let's see, maybe that's the presentation's fault. Probably because I plugged in headphones and didn't restart the presentation mode. Do you hear it now? Aren't you glad I rambled so much that we could fix all the technical details? Are we hearing it? Everybody hearing this? I've been enjoying this peaceful noise for like 10 minutes. Like, what? No, I've been live for 15 minutes, so I've been enjoying this peaceful noise for like 25 minutes. All right, we have to start playing this video game. Or else it's going to get preposterously late. Yeah, I do like the C-punk aesthetic of this. Oh, fuck, I forgot. The one last thing I wanted to talk about the game, actually. This part I can leave in the big edit version. Oh, wait, this story is undoubtedly nothing more than fantasy. It cannot possibly have any relation to real persons, organizations, places, or events. Adorable. All right, I'm going to hold off on reading that for a second. I didn't read the summary? Oh, you mean on the front page. You're right. Whatever, we can do that next time. I was thinking about how the reason I understand the way this game works is that being a streamer kind of feels like this game, in that it's like a weird atemporal experience where I'm simultaneously talking to people who are right in front of me, but also talking to people who I'm anticipating being here in the future, and also the fact that this will be like an aspect of the past of everyone who has seen it, but it becomes an aspect of their past at a different rate. So like, you know, some people are like discovering it 5 years from now and being as excited as we all are, like doing it now. And I'm speaking to them too, you know, like I have to be thinking about them, but like you can't be in a weird way. All right, anyway, let's do this fucking game. Hold on, let me wet my voice so I can do the Shannon voice. Yeah, don't worry, Psychic Self. I have not started reading it yet. I have just been stalling for time. Until everybody was in. And now we're locked in. Oh yeah, you do gotta go read my magazine. Alright.
Look, George-sama. They're so cute. Look.
Shannon found a pair of hammerhead sharks playfully swimming in the tank, and made a fuss like a grade schooler seeing an aquarium for the first time. Yeah, they're really cute. I almost want to eat them.
I feel sorry for them. Did you know? I hear that the only people in the world who come to an aquarium and say that the fish look delicious are the Japanese.
Is that so? I'm sure even Americans and Italians would want to eat these. Those clothes look good on you. Lapusha with Australian $5 says, my secret theory is that if I pay you to watch bad art, you'll make good art. That's the point of Ruby. I don't think it works that way. I think that you make good art because you see something so good you want to copy it, usually. Seeing something bad makes me think, wow, art sucks. Wow, this is a bad hobby for degenerates. Those clothes look good on you, really. Shannon embraced her chest with both hands in embarrassment. She apparently felt like she was being made fun of for wearing these clothes that she wasn't used to. Even though George's face didn't show it, the truth was that even he was surprised at how easily those tremendous words had left his lips, and he was embarrassed as Shannon felt on the inside. However, when he saw how embarrassed Shannon was, he started to feel as though he was teasing the girl he liked, and instead of embarrassment, ticklish amusement welled up in him. Wait, that isn't just a feeling. I really am teasing the girl I like. It pains me to admit it, but I used to think that such embarrassing expressions had fallen so far out of use they no longer showed up even in manga. On the contrary, if I'd seen a couple acting like that, I'd have felt like throwing rocks at them. However, even if rocks were thrown at us now, I'm sure they would be just like confetti celebrating us. Now I can... Even if rocks were thrown at us now, I'm sure it would feel like confetti. What does he mean by that? Now I can't even remember those lonely days. Is he just saying that things are so much worse now that that would be like, oh, like rocks would feel nice? When I felt jealous of couples who were completely oblivious to their surroundings. To use an old-fashioned phrase, those would be truly rose-colored days. I was so entranced that I no longer even noticed the big tank of the world's largest aquarium. Instead, I saw only Shannon happily playing with the fish, all her changing emotions showing on her face.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's my first time seeing a tank large enough for a whale to swim in.
A whale? I heard that this tank is the biggest selling point here, and that it's the biggest in the whole world.
Is that so? That's amazing! It's really wonderful. It doesn't even look like a tank at all, but rather like they sliced off a part of the sea with a knife and brought it here.
That's cute. It does, doesn't it? This is a splendid little sea. Despite its size, I hadn't thought of the tank as anything more than a tank. That's why I thought her expression about slicing off a part of the sea with a knife was so interesting. No matter how far humans broaden their experiences, in the end they can only hold a single personal worldview. Maybe that's why it's so interesting to interact with someone who has a different worldview. We're talking about the meta of why the game is how it is again. I said that to her honestly, and she responded,
Certainly. Certainly, this might not be the real sea, but if those little guys swimming in there believe that it's a sea, then it certainly is a sea.
Even though they're inside a finite tank.
The sea is finite too. No, even if it were infinite, how much could we cover in our whole lives? I'm sure that it would be so much smaller than a sea.
True, Atlantic be big. The Pusha with Australian $2 said, also it's fun. Now that part, I can get behind. Certainly. It's ironic, isn't it? Even though the world is so vast, most of us live out our lives without ever leaving our own country.
All it takes is to believe that it is a complete world. For even the bottom of a narrow well to be a proper world and a sea. In the eyes of the frogs who live there.
Shannon, who spent her days as a servant on a small island 10 kilometers in circumference called Rokanjima, said that with a smile. I should have gone out and bought some tea before this, so I can hit them fucking high notes. Turn of the Golden Witch. I've never used that one. I've used a lot of something of the Golden Witch titles throughout my career, but I've tried to do it sparingly, so I don't run through them too quickly. You know, I've got Ritual of the Golden Witch as my Substack, Trial of the Golden Witch is that's the original one, my Bandcamp. I think on the link tree I have the main channel that's called Trixie the Golden Witch on YouTube just listed as Legend of the Golden Witch, because I have the Twitch listed as Trixie the Golden Witch. This is a very nice song. Beatrice, that's me. Hey. Rondo of the Witch and Reasoning. Let's go. Lord of Summer. That's the name of that movie from the 70s. Based on that older book. After we finished walking through the whole aquarium, we had a slightly late afternoon lunch at a restaurant with a nice view. Any boy's heart will jump about at the sight of a buffet. I myself was like that in the past, but with Shannon besides me, this buffet felt different. I couldn't shamefully make a huge pile of nothing but my favorite foods. I was, how should I put it, worried about my appearance, and chose a menu suited for a snob: toast, salad, and coffee. If I were by myself, I'd have made a pile of greasy stuff like yakisoba, mashed potatoes, gratins, and the like. Shannon, is that enough for you? If it is, then I guess we men are animals with really bad fuel efficiency.
I didn't mean to imply that.
What? It's not your fault. That is simply the way it is, Shannon. You are a tiny, tiny human. On Shannon's tray, there was only tea and salad, aside from in the chest department. Maybe the very idea that she could get away with at least one more dish indicated I was thinking with my male stomach. I mean, aside from being a dude, it's also just you're like twice. Not all men are twice her size, my guy.
What about you, George Samu? Would that be enough? I think it's better for men to eat a little bit more.
She's like, actually, I'm trying to fucking put the beef in you.
You normally eat more than that for lunch, don't you?
She's a feeder. Oh, right. This is relatable. I doubled Bird's size in the time since I've known him, so I understand. And we're gonna go for trips. We're gonna try to make beef PC. Thank you, Ellen. Oh, right. You already know how much I eat from when I have lunch on the island.
Hi. So I was wondering whether your stomach isn't feeling well today.
I'm not gonna translate the word yes because I typically use the word hi in real life. Shannon was showing concern that I wasn't feeling well. Apparently, I had made her worry with my stupid attempt to impress her. And in any case, it didn't seem like my stomach was going to let me keep this pretense up any longer.
Yeah.
I'll confess already. I was just trying to look cool. I just held back because I was with a girl.
I thought so. Considering how much you eat during lunch at the family conferences, I thought this wasn't nearly enough. Please don't be so reserved and feel free to go and choose another dish.
This isn't fair. All the embarrassment is on me. What about you then, Shannon? Do you always manage your work for the Ushiromiya family while eating so little? Shannon grew silent and blushed bright red. Apparently, I wasn't the only one putting on a front. When I realized that, my embarrassment disappeared completely. That isn't enough for you either, is it? Yeah, normally you eat more than this for lunch.
A woman's stomach is made of magic, so this is enough.
It's true. There's like a second pizza stomach and a third ice cream stomach. And if you can strike the right balance between the three of them, you can actually just keep eating all day long. Only as a woman, though. And then I waited for the music to come back in. Okay, thank you. This must mean that we were both trying to impress each other. Let's not hold back anymore, shall we? I smiled to show that I wouldn't make fun of her anymore and stood up from the seat. We've come all the way to Okinawa. It would be a waste if we didn't eat some bitter melon. I'll go get some fried bitter melon or something. Come with me, Shannon. Come on, come on.
Hi.
To anyone watching us, we might have seemed like a pretty humorous and above all embarrassing couple. But it's only after becoming a couple that you realize this banter means the world to us and is our world. So no matter how cold the looks we might have been getting from other people, we wouldn't even notice. Indeed, at this age, I finally understand the feelings of couples who want to endlessly flirt without any regard to their surroundings. After I returned with a plate piled up with fried food, Shannon arrived with a lovely cake. While laughing at our fake stoicism, we resumed our lunch. It's a shame that it's so cloudy, considering this restaurant has such a view of the sea. Our window seats, which we were lucky to get, showed us seaside scenery so grandiose that it didn't even fit entirely within our field of vision. However, because of the cloudy sky, it was a far cry from its normal beauty.
Yes, it is. If it had been clear, we would have seen quite the deep blue sea.
そうだね。
Yes,
普段
I imagine you're used to seeing the sea on Rokinjima, but the sea here would surely have been an exceptional
格別な
blue.
残念だな。
It's a real shame.
But no matter how blue it is, the sea I see during work might as well be gray. But today I'm not working, so I mean,
Apparently, Shannon was doing her best to say an embarrassing line, but I grayed harshly.
惜しいな。
So
ジョー
close.
ジ様と
If
二
only
人
you'd
きりで見
said,
る海なら、
when I look at it with you,
たとえ灰
even
色
the
でも
grayest
真っ
sea
青に
looks so
見えます
blue.
って言えたら、
I'd have given you
100点
full
満点
marks
で
and a
ご褒美だったん
reward.
だけどな。
sorry.
ご褒美は何だった
Want to
か
hear what the reward would have been? Dick.
If you wouldn't mind.
ダメ。
Nope,
教えない。
I won't tell you.
That's not fair.
When I was at elementary school, I was always the kid that got bullied. When everyone teased me, I grew nervous and speechless to the delight of the bullies. Back then, I wondered why everyone teased me. But now, teasing Shannon like this, I understand why. This fucking cunt. This is so much fun. They're all like this. They're all like this, God damn it. Men are the problem. I can play with her emotions however I please, and I can have them all to myself. Right now, I can't think of any higher pleasure, which is exactly why I have to treat her lightly. I don't want her to get embarrassed and have a bad time, so I decided to end the topic there and then. It's not good to be so persistent, too persistent.
お昼が終わったら、
When you
海岸を
finished your
歩いてみない
lunch, do you want to take a walk on the beach?
ひょっとすると、
Perhaps the
雲が
clouds
晴
will
れて
clear
素
up and
敵
we'll
な
be
海
able
が
to
見
see
ら
a
れるかもしれない
picturesque
よ。
sea.
That's a nice idea. I'd like to do that.
そうしよう。
Okay, that's what we'll do.
でも、
But
そ
that
の
looks
ケー
like
キ
a
も
really
本当に美味し
delicious
そうだね。
cake.
僕も同じも
I
のを持っ
wonder
て
if
こよ
I
うか
should get
な。
one like that too.
You mustn't. If you eat cake after already eating so much, you'll get fat. Hideyoshi-sama's blood seems to run pretty thick in you, George-sama. So if you don't take care, you'll get chubby.
So, alright, the ground rules have been laid. You need to eat more, but you're not allowed to get fat like your dad. In other words, she's expecting this motherfucker to get jacked. She's like, I hang out with Genji all day long. I'm expecting you to be like, you know.
じゃあ、シャノンは、
So, Shannon, would you stop liking me if I
嫌い
got
になっ
fat?
ちゃう。僕は、
I wouldn't
たとえ
stop
シャノン
liking
が
you
おデ
if
ブに
you
なっちゃ
did.
っても
Don't
嫌いにならない。
say shit like that. George, what are you thinking? What the fuck are you thinking? Why would you keep... Ooh. Imagine just giving all your cards away at the start of the relationship like that. Unless he's really into fat chicks. Like, he really actually thinks she's not, like, you know what those titties need is another 2 inches. Like, if he's thinking like that, I don't know.
I didn't mean it that way. And then, if you don't take good care of your body, your health will...
母さんにもよく注意
Mother
され
warns
る
me
よ。
all the time, too.
やっぱり僕も
Maybe I also need to
太極拳
take up
とかを
Tai
始
Chi
めて
Chuan or
運動
something
し
to
ない
get
と
some
ダメだな。
exercise. I just want to note that whatever jokes I was making about Bird being like George, that bit about he would never say that. He would never say such a thing. It might be true. There's no way he would say that.
If you want to lose weight, it's best to start by reconsidering your eating habits instead of doing intense exercise. The exercise has to come on top of that, or you won't get any results, I hear.
Yeah, she's definitely trying to bulk him up.
つまりそれは、
In other
デ
words,
ザ
you're
ートの
telling
ケー
me
キを
not to
控えろっ
eat
て
cake,
ことだ
right?
ね。じゃあ仕方ないから。
Then I guess I'll
シャノン
just
が
have
そ
to
のケー
gaze
キ
at
を
you
頬張
while
る
you
ところ
stuff
を
your cheeks
眺め
with
てい
that
ただけ
cake,
るよ。
Shannon. Oh my god, he is a feeder. She wants him big enough. And he's like, I will gain that weight. I will gain that muscle But you gotta get fat enough that when I lift your big ass, there's cushion for the pushing. I don't know if you know this, but like heavier girls do feel better. Like sexually. More weight. Like to quote Giles Corey, more weight. That's a deep cut, but it is a witch cut, so it's appropriate for this game. That's right, I'm speaking real black magic here. Okay, enough. Enough arcane wisdom.
Maybe one whole cake is too much.
This is the most sexual scene in this fucking game so far, by the way.
But maybe just half of one would be alright. Here, it's really delicious.
I literally have cake right here. I'm gonna eat cake with her to do the voice acting. Sharon cut her own cake and tried to move half to my salad plate. I had no doubt that she wanted to share the flavor of the delicious cake with me. Even so, I deliberately and meanly pulled my plate away from her. She blinked her eyes in surprise. She couldn't seem to figure out if that was a refusal of the cake or not. Why are men so obnoxious? I'm not prepared for the rest of this episode. This is horny to me. Alright. It's about time. This game had some actual sex in it. So I winked, opened my mouth, and said, ah.
This is what you wanted from the beginning, isn't it? Gosh, you're such a pampered child, George Selma.
We just zoomed in on her rack.
Okay, say ah.
While still wearing an embarrassed, exasperated face, Shannon offered the cake to me with a fork. Chomp. It tasted like cheap chocolate cake you could find anywhere. Yeah, I fucking bet. Still, it was exceptional. Because eating cake in such an embarrassing way, as if it were the ultimate stereotypical lovey-dovey couple, had been my dream for many years. It made this cake's flavor heavenly. Who the fuck sits around watching motherfuckers eating cake together and being like, one day? If the earth is destined to end someday, I wouldn't have had any regrets if it happened right then. That is some young motherfucker shit right there. But I get it. It was such a moment of bliss. Honey K, honey K, honey K, honey K. Hey, here I find myself 100,000 times. After that, we gathered shells, ran from the waves, and enjoyed each other's company while walking along the beach. In the end, the clouds never parted. However, we both believed that our eyes were still reflecting a deep blue sea.
Somehow I'm so happy. It makes me scared.
たまに言うね。
You do say that from time to time.
何を怖がることが
What
あ
is
る
it that
ね
you're afraid of?
A servant of the Ushiromiya family. For someone like me to be here together with a member of the Ushiromiya family. It just seems like too much for me.
僕もびっくりしてるよ。
I'm also surprised.
シャノンちゃんと出会ったのは
I didn't just meet
昨日
you
今日のこと
today or
じゃない。
yesterday,
何
Shannon-chan.
年も前から
We've
面
known
識
each
もあ
other
る
for years now.
でも
But we would only
年に何度
ever
もない親
exchange
族の
greetings
会合
during
の席
family
で
meetups
挨拶を
barely a
する
few
だけ。
times per year.
そんな君とこう
I
して
never
一緒に過
imagined
ごせ
we'd
る
become
関係に
close
なるな
enough
ん
that I
て
could spend time with you
全
like
然
this.
想像できなかった。それは
It's the same for you too, right? Hmm?
I did imagine. No, rather than imagination. It was more like I was fantasizing. You're always so considerate and gentlemanly, so I wondered if we were in a relationship. I just had fantasies of what it would be like.
じゃあ
Then
僕
our
たちの縁
relationship
は
happened thanks to
君
your
のその
believing
信じた
heart.
心思う力には
Magic dwells in the
魔法
power
が
of
宿るんだよ
dreaming.
だから
So
そ
I'm
の魔
sure it
法が
was
きっ
that
と
magic that brought us
僕らを
together.
巡り合わせてくれた
You're right. I really think that it truly was magic.
でもね
But you know, that's not quite right.
僕の中でも
Every time we met, I saw you as more and more beautiful, and you grew to occupy a large space in my
そ
heart.
して
If the same thing happened to you, then the fact that we are here today is simply an inevitable consequence rather than something caused by magic or a miracle.
No, a miracle did happen, George-sama.
She stopped at the water's edge and gazed beyond the sea. A miracle?
No, magic. It happened.
I was bewildered by that slightly mysterious expression which I sometimes heard her use. Magic, you say?
Yes, magic. You probably won't believe me even if I say it, so I will. But that magic definitely had the power to grant the miracle which brought you and me
それ
together.
は何かの
You mean like a
おまじないの
lucky chant to make your wish come true?
Perhaps. Maybe it was something like that. Except that it wasn't pretend. It really was magic.
Perhaps Shannon isn't alone in wanting to credit an encounter on a miracle or on chance. It might be a universal thing all girls share. For a man like me, an encounter with a girl is 70% effort to try to please her and 20% raw courage. I think those numbers are honestly reversed. I think it's mostly raw courage. I don't think bitches is that difficult to please. If she's willing to fucking listen to you talk about how your shit is magic, and only 10% chance. What she believes to be everything carries little relative weight within me. Maybe that way of thinking is in itself calculating and typical of men. But were I to express that in words, any kind of magic would be broken. I do think that to become this close has taken many fortuities, concessions, and great efforts from us both. See, I believe that thinking is just mind talking and that it puts out just as much resonance as actually speaking. And so you have to actually police your thoughts, or else all of your negative thoughts become shadow curses that plague the world and humanity. So you have to think well, or else you'll if you are listening to this, you have been shadow cursed for eternity. All right. I do think that to become this close has taken many Oh, I already read that part. We have this private time together now only as the result of all those things put together. And if she wants to call that magic, that isn't strange in the slightest. I mean, it is. That's why I answered her the way. I guess it's not, because Disney has ruined, 100 years worth of the female mind, but it's not okay. Harry Potter, get rid of all that. This ideas with $5 says, I think you're gonna have a lot of fun with this episode. I hope so. I think I will too. So far, I'm enjoying it. It's cute.
そうだね
Yes. If the same fate were repeated 100 times, you and I might have gotten into a relationship like this only once. Our distant and formal connection could have continued right up to now, even as we both remained conscious of each other. From the perspective of those otherworldly selves, oh no, is he setting up for some fucked up multiverse shit? Is he about to go fucking Dave Strider on us or some shit? No, this story is so much more patient. It's gonna be like a million years before these words mean anything. From the perspective of those otherworldly selves, we are undoubtedly in a miraculous relationship.
It's not like that.
I mean, so is this meant to be set like further along where he has already proposed to her? Or is like, I guess I had assumed that this takes place before, like this is a date before that day. But now I'm not sure where this actually is in the timeline.
It's not like that. It really is magic. Perhaps this is something that men will never believe, no matter how often you tell them. Kanan-kun didn't believe me at all either.
信じるよ。
I believe you,
僕が信じなか
because I wouldn't want to break the magic by not believing in
嫌だ
it.
けどね。
George-sama,
In a small voice, I apologized for making light of her magic. Those words seemed to make Shannon a lot happier. Is it her magic? Did she do this? After all, if a pair of people believes in the magic of love, it becomes eternal.
そうそう。
Oh, that's right.
僕から
I have a
わがまま
request
が
if
一
you'd
つ
be
あるん
willing
だ
to
けど、
indulge me.
yes?
何でしょうか
What is it?
そのジョ
You
ー
know
ジ様
how
って
you
呼
call
び
me
方
George-sama?
嫌いじゃないけど、
It's not that I dislike it, but would you not call me that anymore? What the fuck is wrong with you? That is so hot that she
も
calls
ち
you
ろん
that.
後ろ宮
Of
家
course,
と
you
は
have to
対
keep
面
up
もあ
your
るだろうから
appearance with the Ushiromiya
ロケン島
family,
で
so I
の普
won't
段ま
force
で
you to
強
do
制
this
はし
during
ない
your
よ。
everyday routine at
で
Rokenjima.
も、
But when
二
we
人
are
きりの時
alone,
は
I'd rather you
なし
didn't
にし
call
よ
me
う。
that. At least in the bedroom, though, right?
そういうルール
Like
に
just to make it more special, you cut it out of all the rest of the life so that that'll be more. Yeah, let's create that rule.
ル
A
ールですか
rule?
もし
What would happen if I broke it?
I'm gonna smack them titties around.
そうだね。
Good point.
ルール違反に
Maybe
は
rule violations
何
do
か
need to have
罰
some
ゲームが
kind
な
of
いといけない
penalty
かもしれない
attached.
ね。
Some sketchy pen shit's gonna happen. Some fucking spank fetish shit's gonna happen now.
そうだな。
What should it be?
聞きたい
Wanna hear?
いえ
No, I
聞
don't
き
want
た
to
くあり
hear.
ません
何がいい
I'll
か
have to think
僕
about
も
what
考
it
え
should
てお
be.
くことに。
はい
Hi,
ジョージ
George-san.
Ugh, that's nowhere near as attractive. Yeah,
素敵な響きだ
that
ね。
sounds wonderful, doesn't it? No, at least like George Coon or something. George San sounds like shit. George San is not a name.
嬉しいよ、シャノン。
I'm so happy, Shannon. Like, it would be Ushiromiya-san. Nobody, like, if you're gonna call him by the first name, why bother with the san? Just George. Just call him Joji. Joji is a cute name. There's a whole famous guy named after it. Yes, San in the streets, Sama in the sheets, exactly.
私も
I
さよと
have the name
名前があり
Sayo
ます
as well.
Oh, shit. This is a way deeper cut. If he starts calling her
そっ
Sayo.
か。
Right.
ルールはフェア
Rules
じゃない
must
と
be
いけないね
fair.
僕もそれを守
I'll
って
abide by that
今
too,
から
and
君
from
の
now
こ
on,
と
I'll
を
call you
サヨと
Sayo.
呼ぶことにするよ。
Oh, he really got the fucking good end of this deal.
いいね。
All right,
サヨ。
Sayo.
Hi.
The only Sayo I can think of is Sayo Yamamoto. I put my arm around her shoulder and held her close. Her delicate body was pulled irresistibly towards me, and she leapt into my chest like a doll. As I held her in my arms, we looked at the horizon
真っ
together.
青な海だね。
What a deep blue sea. So he's into dolls, is he?
この海を
I'm so happy that we were able to see it together.
私もです
Me too.
この真っ青
It
な
makes me very happy that I could look at such a deep blue sea with you.
As we gazed at the gray sea and a light rain began to sprinkle down, we kept listening to each other's heartbeats. Gay? The sound of waves soaked into my ears. No, this was the sound of raging waves. My body, bathed in painfully cold splashes, did not allow me to forget the memory of the day when my old fate was broken and smashed. In the past, tomorrow had been literally like a mirror to me. All I could see in it was the same me that existed today. My tomorrow would never be any different from my today. That was my old fate. But at that moment, for the first time, I saw a different fate beyond the mirror. The witch whispered. She tempted me to take a bite of the fruit of knowledge. She tormented me, saying that as long as I stayed in the paradise of God, I would remain furniture. And so I learned of love and decided to choose to become a person. Those days were like sweetly melting honey. But then I hadn't realized that they were the beginning of days filled with a new kind of suffering. Is this Shannon talking? Should I be doing a more breathy voice?
Taking a motorboat that I had just been told about, I made my way to this islet. No, I couldn't possibly call it an islet. It'd really be more appropriate to call it a reef. It had a torii and a small shrine for the local deity. It was probably built to worship the guardian deity of Rokenjima. Even though I didn't know the exact meaning, I understood that it had a holy significance. Despite being in a place like this, it took just one more look around to see if there was anyone observing me. The only things I could see were the stormy ocean, Nijima looming in the distance, and the waves breaking against Rokenjima's steep cliffside.
Sometimes it's weird, like when I'm trying to do a very specific voice, there are certain words that I'm just not prepared to pronounce correctly for some reason.
I readied myself, timidly approached the small shrine, and took up the mirror that had been placed there. It was an old-looking mirror, dim and dirty. If it were an ordinary mirror, that would probably give you a terribly bad impression of its value. However, since the mirror had been offered to this small shrine, that quality made me feel some kind of divinity from it. And I realized this was not merely a mirror. Even if it was nothing more than an old-looking mirror to a non-believer like myself, in actuality it was a mirror that held an important meaning. Is it really all right to break it after being captivated by honeyed words? No, this is no mirror. It is the inescapable life I have lived until today, my fate. Break it. Break it and seize a life from beyond the mirror. If I don't break it, my life will forever be a pair of facing mirrors. Nothing will ever change in the slightest.
The witch whispers. Oh wait, it's still her.
She tempts me to take a bite out of the fruit of knowledge. Or maybe I have already had a taste of that fruit, because I ended up knowing those maddening emotions, just as Adam and Eve felt compelled to pluck the fig leaf. I can no longer go without breaking this mirror. I fought with conflict for many days. Inside my heart, the virtuous part of me and the part that sided with the witch repeatedly fought each other. And now here I am. Did the part of me who is here win or lose? There's only one thing I know. To obtain something, you must be ready to lose something. The cowards who don't risk loss and never try to change anything will never be given the key to open the path to a new future. The key is already in my hands. It is to break this, to break it. Is there any other effort I can make as furniture imprisoned on Rokenjima? No, there's nothing but this. Come, have courage. I'll free myself from being mere furniture, and I'll accept my new sufferings and become human. These are surely the small and large trials I must impose upon myself. Now, break it. Break the eternally unchangeable fate that imprisons me into pieces. I raised it high, thought back on all those days of conflict, and after a time far too brief to do them justice, I finished my reflections and threw it.
Yeah, throw that mirror. And the lightning strike, and the thunder roared,
crying out against me for my outrageous act. It was truly the wrath of the angels preparing to banish me from eternal paradise. I looked down on the mirror tumbling at my feet, broken in two equal parts, and, having made sure I had accomplished my task, I looked up at the enraged sky and screamed. I kept the promise! Now, it's your turn to keep your promise to me, right? The thunder roared once more. I had already been banished from paradise, so I would have to struggle by myself in order to live. The witch had said it. That's the single element of the world. To lose it means to lose the world. Like how a flask with a hole in the bottom can't be filled no matter how much water you scoop into it. I kept the promise. Now it's your turn to keep your promise. Please grant my wish. Beatrice-sama!
The bucket has holes, and even if you put all your water into it, you'll end up with nothing left to drink. That's a song by the Deer Hunter. Sagmandalan, 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 Sagmandalan. Who the fuck is Flammel? Who is Furameru? The motherfucker's name didn't come up once in the first chapter. A legendary alchemist. Oh shit. Alchemy. You know, a human's made of like 13% nickel and 10% dime and 25% quarter. And if you put it all together, you still can't make a real person because it doesn't have the essential God stuff that makes you all Christian and shit. I'm Vic Mignota.
My mind wandered back to the days when I could barely imagine the happiness I have today. I was a middle schooler at the time, an ordinary girl who dreamed about love, as is normal at that age. But I really should not have dreamed that dream, because I am furniture. Furniture is nothing more than a tool and is not human. For a person... Gary always said that was the funniest fucking shit. I'm glad you got a kick out of that. For a person less than human such as myself, just receiving my education was more than sufficient happiness. So even thinking about love was more than I deserved. The Ushiromiya Family Conference was a customary event held every October.
Is it mostly going to be her through this? Am I going to be doing this voice the whole time? I don't mind. I just need to know if I'm going to really lock in. Oh, I wish I hadn't eaten that cake. I got like a tiny bit of frosting in like the back of my tooth. It's making my mouth like get all... It's not her for the whole thing. Okay. Maybe we'll just do a lot more perspective shifting this time. Because it certainly started to ramp up as the first chapter went along. Which is smart. It's really smart to keep that kind of in the back pocket. Everything about this way the story is written, the level of forethought is insane. Like, I can imagine plotting this out, and I'm like, good God. Like, I have to think that he sat for like 9 months just purely planning the story. Like, not writing any of it, just planning it. Making sure it would all make sense once the writing started, you know? Anyway.
The Ushiromiya Family Conference was a customary event held every October, but relatives would occasionally visit at other times as well. Of course, they didn't come just to drink tea. On this day, Ava's family had visited the head family on Rokujima. The 3 people from Krause's family and the 3 people from Ava's family had gathered in the parlor and were having a friendly chat as they updated everyone on their situations. Genji had supposedly told Kinzo of Ava's family's arrival, but he hadn't come down yet. He was probably immersed in his own research and couldn't spare the time. This often happened, so the others waited patiently for their fickle father to come down.
Oh, that does sound promising. Study a lot at your father's and do your best to become able to help him soon.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
今は父
The
の紹
mentor's
介で
father has
たくさんの
introduced me
人
and
生の
providing
先
me
輩方に
valuable, truly
本当に
valuable
貴重な
study.
そのいずれも
Everything I learn is
学校では
something that
学べない
can't be
ことば
learned
か
in
り。
school.
It's
It's not language or math you learn in school. What you study is the attitude. I just realized that the Hideyoshi voice I've been doing is the fucking old man from Garzy's Wing. The guy who goes, he's just a human. Humans are just human. They come into this world with dreams. I guess that guy's a little more down here, and my Hideyoshi is a little, but very similar. It's definitely the archetype I'm doing when I do his voice. What you study is the attitude to have towards studying. Once you form that basis, you can finally start a long period of study that'll last your entire life. People who don't get this will spend the rest of their lives with rocks for brains, totally unable to absorb knowledge. They might get full marks in math and language, but they'll be useless for their company. That is exactly right. Hideyoshi-san, your education policy is always truly excellent. Kraus looks like he would be in the Zabi family from Gundam. Does he not just straight up look like a Zabi? Or just someone who just absolutely a Zeon, a member of Zeon, unquestionably a Zeon. You're not a full man yet, George. Always keep that in mind and embrace your studies. Yeah, not till 25. Oh, stop that, honey. Ava would also be a pretty great fucking Zeon member. She would definitely be some like ridiculous Gundam pilot that shows up for like 5 or she's like the Haman Karn of this fucking story. He's voiced by Akio, as in you don't mean you mean Akio from Utena? I don't know who voices him actually, now that you mention. I guess now I do. That him. Oh, stop that, honey. George is always doing his very best. Aren't you? Truly excellent. I wish our Jessica would learn from him. Are you still holding a grudge about my test scores? I said I am studying for the exams. I'm doing it my own way. You didn't have to bring it up here as well. Cram it already. When George was praised for his diligence, the conversation would nearly always turn to Jessica, who hated studying. Jessica made an openly displeased face, as though she'd known it would come back to her. Yeah, she probably did. My. In addition to studying, I think you need to learn to speak a little more ladylike, don't you? It's quite shameful for a daughter who bears the Ushiromiya family crest. Is there anyone who bears this crest that isn't deeply shameful? Let's be real. Oh, but this is charming in itself, don't you think? Times change. The times when we had to feign purity in order for a man to allow us to eat ended a long time ago. She is a boss bitch. True feminist energy up in this bitch. Yes. I knew you'd understand, Auntie Ava. My headache is truly trying today.
大丈夫ですか
Are you alright?
夏日おばさん
Oh, Natsu, your face looks off color. Thank you. I am alright. But time really has flown. It feels like just yesterday when you would run around half naked by the beach and come back soaked. Wasn't Jessica-chan the same? And now she's already a lady who fusses over how to put on makeup. You really are particular about your eyebrows. You look really cute today. Oh, she's being nice. Thank you very much. Nobody noticed, so my confidence was taking a beating. I mean, they're not supposed to notice if you're doing it right. A full smile rose to Jessica's face as the results of her own studies were finally noticed. Ava smiled back just as widely. I guess I'm supposed to be doing... This is still Shannon's perspective, right?
Then she turned that smile towards Natsu.
ダメよ、
Come on, Natsu
自
ne-san.
分の
You
この
mustn't take
小さな
notice of
変
small
化にも
changes
気
in
づ
your
か
own
なくちゃ。
child.
You must take, not must not, you must take notice of small changes in your own child. I couldn't even imagine my parents noticing small changes.
かわいそうな
Poor
ジェシカ
Jessica
ちゃん。
chan.
一番
She
最
must
初
have
にお
wanted her
母さん
mother
に
to
気づい
notice
てもらいた
first,
かったでしょう
surely.
に。
いいんですいいんで
It's
す
fine, it's
あの
fine.
人
She
そう
never
いうの
notices
全
anything
然
like
気づか
that.
ない人なんで
ジェシカ、
Jessica,
母親は
I do
あの
not
人呼
think
ばわれ
much
と
of
は
you
感
calling
心
your
でき
mother
ん。
she.
謝りなさい。
Your mother is a trans man.
言
Apologize.
葉遣いについては
Later, I will
後でよ
speak
く
to you
言っ
at
て聞か
length
せます
about your language.
お子様は
If
邪
you'd
魔だ
had
って
enough of the
そんな
annoying
くらい
little kid, just say so next time.
私は席を
I'm
外させ
getting
ても
out
ら
of
うぜ
here.
ここは空気が
This
よ
room
どん
is
でる
getting
ぜ
stuffy. Eat my
ジェ
shorts.
シカ
Jessica?
Jessica was still at that unpredictable age with exams right around the corner. Recently, she had clashed. God damn.
Recently, she had clashed often with her mother, who was enthusiastic about her education.
失礼いたします
Excuse me. Ah! Jessica, making to leave the parlor in a bad mood, and
Wait, this isn't Shannon's perspective. This is just a disconnected narrator. Okay. Jessica making an effort to leave the parlor in a bad mood, and Shannon pushing a serving cart loaded with tea bumped into each other.
ああシャノン
Ah, Shono,
私の分のお茶
don't
は
bother
いらない
with my tea.
私は庭
I'm
で
just going to
も
wander
付き合い
around the garden.
お嬢様
Milady,
シャノン
Shannon,
Ocha
the
ga
tea is getting cold.
配膳を急ぎな
Serve
さ
it
い
quickly.
失礼
My
しました
apologies.
Shannon hadn't actually done anything wrong, but Natsuhi, who felt like a bitch, herself had been shown, lashed out at her emotionally. This was something that often happened in the Ushiromiya family, but it seemed that Shannon wasn't strong-willed enough to accept it that way. She shrunk back and nervously prepared the black tea. She had the unfortunate habit of making more mistakes when she felt intimidated. Ooh, I know about that. I have this exact unfortunate habit, and it's not fun when you get really flustered and you just start stacking mistakes, and then you just want to cry. Her pitiful appearance dispersed the peaceful atmosphere that had been there until just a moment ago. That wasn't really Shannon's fault, but she thought she might be the source and felt a pressure on her chest. Her shaking fingers made the porcelain clatter, and you couldn't have called it graceful, not even as an empty compliment. The more pitiful everyone thought that she was, the greater the silence grew. The more irritated Natsuhi looked, the more Shannon cowered. Shannon's thin neck felt like it was being choked and suffocated by the death god called tension. I can't imagine what it's like to have a really thin neck. I got a super thick neck because I got a big fucking head. I guess it's not that thick. I can fit my fucking hands around it. But, like, it's thicker than I would expect from the rest of my body. I got, like my neck and head are disproportionately large compared to the rest of my body. So I can't imagine having a tiny little neck, you know? There was no need for me to choke myself like that just now. Anyway. Then George spoke cheerfully as if to blow away the stiff atmosphere.
これはいい香
That's
り
a
だね。
nice
何の
smell.
紅茶か
What
な
kind of tea is it?
これは
This is...
ううん。言わない
No,
で。
don't
当
say
て
it.
るから。
I'll
これ
guess.
は特
It's a
徴
very
的な匂いだ
distinctive
から
smell, so I
多分
probably
は
know
アー
it.
ルグレイ
Is it
かな。
Earl Grey?
I think it probably is.
Indeed, I've had 10 teas.
多分アールグレ
It
イで合ってる
probably
よ。
is Earl Grey.
台所に戻ったら
When you get
紅
back
茶
to
の
the
缶を見て
kitchen,
ごらん
check。the can.
ほ
Oh.
う。ジョージ君は
George
紅茶に
Coon, are
詳
you
しい。
knowledgeable about black tea? It's fucking Earl Grey. I'm sorry, do they not drink that in Japan or something? That's like the most common fucking tea, right? Isn't it like... I feel like that's the tea Earl Grey hot, right? That's Captain Picard's tea. Maybe that's why I know it.
お世話になっている社長さん
I'm
に
currently in the
紅茶の
service of
詳
a
しい人
company
がいまして
president who knows a lot about black tea.
講釈を聞いているうち
After
に
enough time
少しだ
listening
け
to
わ
his
かるようになりまし
expositions,
た
I picked up a little of it.
ああ、おこのぎ
Oh
職人
yeah,
の
the
社長
president
さん
of
かい
Okanogi
あの
Foods.
人
That
そう
sort
いう
of in-depth
うんちくは
knowledge is his
得意でな
specialty.
紅茶の名前って
The names of
産地を示
tea
すこと
often
が多い
refer
で
to
し
the
ょ
place where it's made,
じゃあこ
right?
れは
So is this
Earl
something
Grey という
cultivated from a
土地で
place
栽培さ
called
れたのが
Earl
由来なのかしら
Grey?
ね
I would think it would be like an earl named Grey or some shit.
昔イギリ
I
ス
have heard
に
that a
グレ
long
イ
time
伯
ago
爵
in
という
England
人
there
がい
was
た
an
そうで
earl called Grey.
その人に
Thank
ちなん
you,
でつけた名
George.
前
The
だそうだ
fucking
よ
obvious answer. And it was named after him.
ちなみに
Incident,
この特徴的な
I
匂
want
い
to
は
believe Ava
茶葉
was
のものではなくて
pretending to
ベ
be
ルガモ
dumb
ットとい
there.
うみかんの親戚にあたる果物で
Incidentally,
つけ
this
たものなんで
distinctive
すね
smell doesn't come from tea leaves, but from a fruit called the bergamot, which is a relative of the mandarin orange. Oh, now see that I am interested because I didn't know what a bergamot was. I just knew that there's a beat by MF Doom called Bergamot Wild. That's one of my favorite beats to freestyle on. By the way, this is that song that kind of sounds like you from Higurashi. This doesn't seem like it's nearly as emotional of a scene as I expect to hear this song in usually. Thus someone's about to fucking die. Is that so?
初めて知りました
I never knew that.
そういう知識を
Having
持ってい
that
る
knowledge,
と
the tea will taste even more delicious. Maybe it's just playing because they're like being like nice to each other, kind of, and having like a decent time at the moment. And that's so rare in the story that it's like a cherished memory.
酒もタバコも
Alcohol
同じ
and
や
cigarettes are the same.
嗜好品は
With luxuries,
ロ
you've
マン
got
を
to
たしなむもの
appreciate the romance. Hey, I agree. Romance is finding a billion ways to say the same thing.
こういううんちく
Knowledge
は
like this deepens
味
the
わいを
taste.
深める
薬の能書きと同
It's
じ
the same with the advertising on medicine.
夏日姉さんも
Natsuki-san, you should try
愛用してる
reading the
頭痛薬の
explanation on your
説明
favorite headache
書
medicine
今度はじ
someday.
っくり読んでから
Yeah, read, bitch. I bet you don't.
それはい
A
い
fine idea. Yes, indeed. My wife should
今夜
read.
試してみなさ
Try
い
it tonight.
ええ
Yes, I
試してみます。
shall. Even though I am dyslexic and partially blind, I will once more attempt this reading thing you all speak of.
シャノンちゃんそのポットを
Shannon-chan,
開けて
open
ごらん
that pot and have a
茶葉
look.
の中に
You should
ベ
be
ル
able
ガ
to
モット
find
を
some
乾燥
dried
させたもの
bergamot
が
mixed
混じ
in
って
with
い
the
るの
tea
を見つけられ
leaves.
る
Yes.
She sure does make a lot of noises.
入っています
It is in there.
オレンジの皮を乾
Something
燥
like
させ
dried
たような
orange
も
peel
のが
is
混じっ
mixed
てい
in.
ます
Yep,
多分これが
that's
ベルガモ
probably
ットのね
bergamot,
アールグレイ
the
の香
main
りの主
ingredient
成
in
分
Earl
だ
Grey's scent.
匂いは鮮烈
The
だか
scent
ら
is vivid,
味
so
が
it
き
gives
そう
the
な印象
impression
が
of
あるけ
having
ど
a sharp taste,
素直
but
で
it's a
飲みやすい味なん
docile
だよ
taste. It's easy to
ミ
drink.
ルクティーにすると
It might be
香り
lovely
も
to
まろ
make
や
it
かに
with
なっ
milk.
て素敵か
The
もしれな
scent
い
should
ね
become more
みんな
mild.
に注いでポッ
If
トに
there's
泡立
anything
てがあ
left,
った
this is a
ら
fucking like sommelier
milk tea にして
fucking
飲んでみ
tea
て
review going on here. If there's anything left in the pot after you've poured for everyone, you really should make a milk tea out of it and try it out.
Oh.
I'll show you a
Hi.
Yubisaki milk tea.
Hi.
ありがとうございま
Thank
す
you very much.
George gave her a small wink. That's the a. Shannon finally realized that George had been doing her a favor by calming down the atmosphere in the room. Oh, really? And he had been doing it for her sake, as she had lost her self-confidence. The Ushiromiya family did not pamper their servants, so if there was any awkwardness, they would be harshly punished. So it didn't often happen that they were given a helping hand like this. I have to say, Shannon is an interesting character in the sense that, like, being the most beautiful and kind-hearted person imaginable, in any other context, she would be so, like, perfect that it would be annoying, because you'd be like, well, why is she suffering? She could do it. She could be an ethot or whatever, but she's like, by way of upbringing, like kind of stuck in this weird role where like she's mostly around other hot chicks who are just mad that she's even younger and hotter. So like all that young hotness is doing her no good, except that George likes her. So she's got a shot with this guy, but like we're at that interim moment where it's like her life is either about to change and become amazing because she's going to get with this guy and they're going to have a loving relationship, or they're both going to die. So it's good drama. Good way to make you care about a character like this, who ordinarily you just be like, yeah, whatever, she's good. She's good and she's hot. It just makes me angry, you know? But if she gets stabbed in the face every couple 100,000 words, then we're getting somewhere, you know? Anyway. Thanks to George's concern, Shannon was somehow able to get a hold of herself and finish serving everything safely. If she was calm when she worked, she could easily carry out her tasks elegantly and flawlessly. By the time the black tea was laid out on the table and the elegant scent drifted around, the room was completely back to how it had been, in a peaceful mood as everyone praised George's knowledge. Shannon wanted to thank him for saving her, but it didn't look like she would get the chance. So she at least thanked him inside her heart, praying to God that George would hear it, and pushed the serving cart away. We want some real magic shit. Look, I'm not going to pretend like I don't think like that. It's just cringeworthy. Even when I do it, I cringe at myself.
George Nissan has always lent a helping hand in times like that, by changing the topic or something.
Shannon and Jessica could be seen in the rose garden. By whom? God? Jessica, having gotten into a fight with her mother, now felt unable to simply nonchalantly wander back into the parlor, and so found herself here killing time.
When I think back on it, I feel that maybe this wasn't the first time he has helped me like that.
Whenever I made... Okay, now we're in her perspective again. Were we in her perspective on the could be seen line a second ago? I will say the perspective shifting can get a little confusing sometimes when it comes to the narration.
Whenever I made a careless mistake and George-sama was there, he would always naturally smooth things over and make things harmonious, I think. Maybe it wasn't something as direct as picking up a fork that had been dropped, but it was his way of caring. Even servants have pride. They want to fix their own mistakes by themselves. Because if a guest helped them out with that, they would lose face. He's really good at reading between the lines in those kind of situations. Well, maybe that's George Nissan's aesthetic take on things. That guy's more of a show-off than he looks.
Is she trying to say he's really wabi-sabi?
That's not true. I think he is a really wonderful person. Shannon, you haven't fallen in love with George Nissan, have you?
Shannon had refuted Jessica's words uncharacteristically forcefully, so Jessica caught on immediately.
No, that's not it. I think. Come to think of it, I've never heard any of that kind of gossip about George Nissan. Wait, actually, didn't I hear him say that family-oriented girls were his type? Nice, that fits you perfectly, Shannon.
Yeah, you with no family. You're very family-oriented.
It does? I am not, qualified for that. You sure are qualified. You've known each other for years. You're almost childhood friends. They say that when you have a natural relationship where you don't think of each other as a boy and a girl, it's plain sailing once you do.
Interesting. So the key to a good relationship is to not think of them as the other gender. So basically, if you have like an internet pen pal you're really cool with and then you find out they're super hot, then you're in. You gotta already like them, then find out you're attracted to them, and then it's like, oh fuck. Usually that makes me miserable because then I feel like, fuck, god damn it. Now I have to think about the fact that you're attractive on top of liking you in general. But that's just me.
No doubt.
Jessica loved teen magazines with these kinds of stories, and she was always on the phone talking excitedly with her friends about that kind of thing. So she had a keen intuition for this kind of romantic topic. So this wasn't the first time a topic like this had been brought to Shannon. But it was certainly the first time she had noticed George as a member of the opposite sex. She was furniture, and George was an honored guest connected to the Oshiromiya family. She had thought it impermissible to even imagine any deeper relationship, so she hadn't thought about it. Jessica was taking immense pleasure in poking fun at all this since it didn't affect her. Shannon was doing her best, yeah, fucking white bitches. Shannon was doing her best to make sure that her blushing cheeks weren't discovered. So if George showed up at a time like this, there would be no way that she would be able to keep her cool. They saw George come out from the entrance hall of the mansion. By the way, I don't care what anyone says, that girl is white. It looks like he had seen them as well. He headed over, waving his hand. Shannon had to frantically try to regain her ordinary composure before George reached them. Grandfather finally came down. Now they're having an adult discussion, so they chased me out.
Escaping then was the right choice. I'd sooner kiss a god of pestilence than go look grandfather in the face.
You shouldn't speak that way. However, I think grandfather may think of us as pestilent creatures. After all, we came over here specifically to ask him for money for business. That's right, this wasn't the customary annual October family conference. Ava's family had visited to apply for a business loan from the main family. Kinzo had vast resources and he lent those out to his children. Of course, this was not money to lend because they had gotten themselves into financial trouble. How would they expand their business using this vast amount of money that they borrowed? How much interest would be attached and how soon could it be repaid? This wasn't a loan for the have-nots. It was a loan for those who were on the offense. Kinzo judged strictly whether it was worth lending out his fortune, and afterwards he strictly oversaw its use. So there was occasionally this spectacle where relatives visited Rokkenjima and explained their business to Kinzo. To the parents, it may well have been a meeting concerning the movement of large sums of money, forcing immense stress upon them. But to Jessica, who lived on the isolated island called Rokkenjima, it was a precious opportunity to meet up with her cousins. So even her bad mood from getting into that fight with her mother was immediately cured by this chat with the infrequent visitor George.
My family's a bunch of tightwads. They've probably got money to spare. Why not be generous with it?
I mean,
I bet my dad and grandfather are both just being really tight.
it's natural to be prudent when lending money. Of course, my father has come with a plan by which he can expand his business with what he borrows and which he can definitely repay. At the end of the day, what your money should be for is to spend it on people that you like, because you personally don't need that much. I can't imagine needing to spend more at the absolute most. No, not even needing. I can't even imagine wanting to spend more than like a couple $100 a day at the absolute most. Like if you were really being like, I'm living every day to the fullest. Costs like $200 a day to like every day do like exciting shit all day long. It's like 30 times, so it's like 6,000, like $6,000 of expendable income to have. If you had $6,000 of just purely fuck around money every month for yourself, everything after that would be like, what do I even do with this other than like pay other people to do things, you know, that they want to do. Nobody ever does that. They're always like, I'm going to pay other people to do something that'll make me even more money that sucks and that nobody needs. Okay, why? You want more money for what? What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with more than $6,000 extra a month? I mean, I guess if you had a second $6,000 extra, you could spend it on your kid or whatever. But if you have like $1 million, the fuck are you going to do with that? Anyway, enough of this line of thought. Sorry, I think a lot about rich people and why are they like that. Everything else will be up to the presentation. Really, I would have liked to watch alongside and learn, but Mother chased me out. I'm a little let down.
親方様は
It seems that the master still scolds Kraus-sama and Ava-sama in just the same way he did when they were kids.
そんな姿を
I'm sure she didn't want to show that to you, her son.
As Shannon hung her head, she thought back on those scenes she had grown up used to seeing while working in the mansion. Even Kraus, who acted haughtily towards his siblings, was still treated like a child by Kinzo. Shannon herself had often seen Kinzo slapping Kraus or making them sit Seiza style. I think that's where you have to sit on your legs, right? Nah, I did it wrong. It was probably deeply humiliating to have that forced upon him at this age. In the Ushiromiya family, taking care not to be present when this happened was one of the greatest tasks of the servants. Of course, that did mean that Shannon had been making mistakes by being witness to it.
そうだろうね。
Probably. Realizing that and going away may be my duty as her child. Well,
それにしても
all that aside, the flowers in this garden are truly splendid this year, aren't they? George stretched as he said that, and truly effortlessly he changed the subject away from something that had become a little gloomy. This time Shannon noticed it too. This person, George, was highly sensitive to the mood of a group and was always caring enough to change the subject to something harmonious. It had been so smooth that Shannon hadn't noticed it until today. I wish I was better at that. I always want that. Like if I feel the mood of a group is down, I usually... I can, it takes me too long, but I can move everybody away into doing something. Like, I'm very good at, all right, everybody, this moment we're all having is over. And then, we're now going to do this other thing. I'm good at that. But I'm not good at, just, smoothly, casually, Today, Shannon had to really admire that behavior of George's. Almost all of the boys Shannon knew of her own age were her classmates during her education, but they were all immature, and none of them had the composure that George did. Even though he had just been another guest until moments ago, now she couldn't describe him with just that. But that was idle thinking, irrelevant to her work as a servant. Shannon tried to chase it away with a small shake of her head. So wait, did we jump farther back in time from the date? Is this when she first fell for him? Huh? What's up?
No, it's nothing. Shall I prepare some tea? I will prepare some more of that Earl Grey for you.
So you remembered the name of that black tea. I'm happy. Was he always wearing a black undershirt? Or is this a different outfit? They don't change outfits, do they?
その さっき
Thank
は
you for your
お気遣いをありがとうございました
Shannon was finally able to put her thanks into words. If he wrote them out on paper, they wouldn't seem like much, but Shannon had needed just a little courage to say them out loud. But George played dumb.
何のことだい
What's
お礼
this?
を言われる
I
よ
don't
うな
remember
覚えは
doing
ない
anything I
けど
should be thanked for. It seemed he was being a gentleman in his own way, saying that he hadn't helped her because he wanted to be thanked. It seemed that George's response had been more or less predictable to Jessica. She burst out laughing to Jessica. She burst out laughing uncontrollably. See? This is it. Isn't he a show-off?
No,
そんな
I
ことは
don't think that's...
Jessica made fun of Shannon as she remained silent, red-faced. George didn't know the details, but he naturally joined in, laughing the same way. The three of them lazily walked around the garden, talking about what was new. George, as the oldest cousin, talked about his life experiences. Jessica talked about recent life on Rokkenjima, and Shannon talked about her recent work. These silly little topics went round and round in circles. Even when the others' stories had been fascinating, Shannon had never felt particularly connected to their contents. She was nothing more than a servant, and she had no intention of delving into her master's lives. She simply wanted them to enjoy their time speaking with her, and was only pretending to listen intently and nodding at the right moments. Funnily enough, I think Shannon is probably the most like normal or like relatable character to the most people in this regard. Like I feel like most people really do walk around telling themselves like I'm nothing. You know, like well, my opinion doesn't matter. Like, oh, I'm nobody. You know, I'm furniture. Like I don't know. I just see that defeatism in people of like thinking, well, this isn't for me. I wouldn't be able to understand this, and therefore I'm avoiding it. You know. It always makes me sad because I know that everybody is capable of a lot more, but there's usually some kind of force in their life holding them down. And of course, we all call it capitalism, but there's more to it than that. It's usually something more specific. She simply wanted them to enjoy their time speaking with her and was only pretending to listen intently and nodding at the right moments. But for some reason, she found talking with George deeply uninteresting today. Even for things that she would normally ignore, she felt like she could feel a kindness hidden beneath the words. For some reason, she wanted to know more things about George, no matter how trivial. So, she stared fixedly at him. She thought that as far as looks went, this person, Ushiromiya George, was probably about average, and he didn't really stick out. But he was diligent, serious, and deeply thoughtful in a way that allowed him to understand people's hearts and care for them. You know, those lines probably hit harder in the original artwork game where he looked like a fucking put-in-face, disgusting creature. I don't know how to describe. He looks awful. In the original artwork, his face is just tiny little fucking scrunched up face on a tiny head that's too small for his body. He definitely got a massive glow up. A massive glow up in this version of the art. But she had never been aware of these things until now. She might not have met him many times, but she had known his face for many years. Even so, she had not noticed once until now. So Shannon felt ashamed of this, and her cheeks went red. Maybe George thought Shannon was appreciating him talking about himself because he continued to relate his personal stories. But Jessica didn't miss that slight change in Shannon, so she turned the discussion around to the topic Shannon wanted to hear about most.
Oh yeah, come to think of it, George Nissan, did you finally get a girlfriend yet or what?
What is this out of the blue? Normally, just George's reaction would have been answer enough, but for some reason, as she was now, Shannon found herself unable to understand it unless he said it clearly.
George-sama is very nice, so I'm sure, he must be very popular with the girls.
No, quit it, Shannon. That's pretty mean, cornering him like that.
I wasn't trying to be mean.
Thank you for your happy wrong impression. It's a shame, but I still don't have a relationship with any special girl. As you can see, my looks are below average, and I can't speak wittily in a way that can entertain a girl.
I don't think that's true. And I think that a man's charm is decided by things you can't measure on the outside.
Plus, she wants you like 3 times your size, dog. You don't even understand.
That's why, I think that you might be a very charming man, George-sama.
Shannon was uncharacteristically verbose. Compared to her normal self, she was being very wordy indeed. George looked fairly pleased about hearing his own charm described, but he was just a little surprised at this high praise. Jessica, sure now that her own imagination was right on, acted as though she could barely hold back her laughter. Thank you, Shannon-chan. I hope I soon run into a girl gracious enough to find me attractive.
Yes, I'm sure you will.
She wants you, dog.
I'm sure there's a girl now. A lot of girls who will recognize your real charm.
She probably wanted to say, there's a girl not very far away. In fact, she's within reach. And she's got huge titties. She avoided saying that much, drawing a final line as a servant. Really? I guess I'm kind of embarrassed. Maybe he had never been praised this much by a girl. George's face turned just as bright red as Shannon's. As she watched the two of them, Jessica giggled sadistically.
Well, I'm sure you'll eventually find a wonderful partner, George Nissan. But I don't think you'll be able to escort your partner as you are now, right? Your business or braininess may be a diligent worker, but it looks like you're totally clueless when it comes to that aspect of your studies.
Excuse me for being ignorant. I'll start studying that bit by bit.
How would you do that by yourself? Are you gonna watch movies about love? Learn from Uncle Hideyoshi?
Was she like trying to be like, you gotta fuck her right now, George. You gotta do it right now. This isn't quick enough for me. You're milking it for all it's worth, aren't you? Men aren't a match for girls in this kind of conversation. Normally, when George and Jessica got together, their parents would say George is diligent and admirable, and Jessica is lazy and rude. So it was probably irresistible fun for Jessica when their roles were finally reversed. George also realized that, so this time he was content with being the one who was teased.
Then George Nissan, as long as you're okay with it, why not practice a bit with Shannon? Keep Shannon entertained all day long on a date. What do you think?
When she heard Jessica's audacious plan, Shannon's face turned bright red, and a donut of smoke rose from it with a poof. That's a very attractive plan, but I'd feel bad for Shannon-chan. I wouldn't just be wasting her precious day off. I'd also be butting in on the ideal moment when she'd be able to be alone with someone she really has feelings for. I couldn't do something so boorish.
I also don't have a person I have feelings for or anything. So, caring for me like that is, it's unnecessary.
Shannon's blood had all rushed to her head, and it looked like even she didn't know what she was babbling about. Jessica, who knew how Shannon normally was, seemed to find that really comical. She couldn't hide her cackling laugh anymore. Is that true? I can't believe that a cute girl like you would be single, Shannon-chan.
I spend all my time on a fucking island. I'm a servant, so, I don't have any opportunities to meet boys. Idiot. Which means that in the future, if Shannon's gonna have any chance of getting herself a wonderful guy, she needs practice with relationships, right? So you each want the same thing. Alright, that'll work nice.
Jessica irresponsibly cheered the two of them on. Now George was also hanging his head red-faced. George, I've been calling for you. Couldn't you hear me? Since Ava appeared in what was already an embarrassing situation, both of them became even more flustered. Jessica was in stitches. Mother. Sorry, our conversation got complicated. I didn't notice.
Oh, Ava-sama, my deepest apologies.
It sounds like you young kids were getting really excited. You're all about that age. I remember what that's like. You must have no end of things like that to talk about.
Oh, come on, Auntie Ava, you're still in your prime.
Hell, yes, she is. Please tell me how us and you and
Please tell us how you and Uncle Hideyoshi met.
Oh my, there's no way I could tell you that. You're all so young. It's like a swinger party or something? So what is it, Mother? You called because you wanted something, right? Your father and the past have finished talking. We're going to talk to Grandfather about you, so come on. About me? What could that be? The same topic you all were just having. Remember that topic? Who are we gonna betroth your ass to? Oh, that topic. That isn't really something we need to talk to Grandfather about, is it? What are you talking about? Wait, George Nissan, you aren't getting married to someone.
Congratulations.
No. Didn't I just say I don't have a special woman? That isn't something to brag about, is it? Seriously. Ava smiled bitterly, looking a little exasperated.
I got it. George Nissan, it's one of those, right? A marriage meeting. A marriage meeting?
まあ
Well, yeah. As a man, George undoubtedly wanted to find a partner by himself and carry her off himself. So it seemed that he found the idea of meeting his partner for the first time at a marriage meeting arranged by his parents to be a little pathetic.
お見合いというのは
Shouldn't marriage
も
meetings
っ
be
と
done at a
年
more
齢が成
mature
熟してから
age?
僕はまだ
I still don't
一
feel
人
like
前にな
I've
ったって
become an
自覚す
adult.
る
もちろん
We don't
即
intend
恋
on
愛
rushing
即
you
結
into
婚なん
immediate
て朝一は
engagement
全
or
然ない
marriage. Of
よ
course not.
親睦を
It
含
isn't a
めて
problem if you
年齢
deepen
的
your
にもう
friendship
少し落ち
first
着い
and
て
then
から
have her
籍を入
move
れ
to
る
our
形で
family
も問
register
題ないも
later
ん
when you settle down as you age. From the forceful impression Ava was giving and George's evasiveness, it seemed like you could catch a glimpse of how this marriage meeting linked into everything. You know, just everything. Who this other person was remained unclear, but it was surely someone profitable to Ava's family in a business sense. It felt almost like a political strategy. They wanted to create a connection between the two families, if not by changing registers, then at least by having them get
結
engaged.
婚はね
Marriage
好きになって
isn't
からする
something
もの
you
じゃない
do after you start liking someone.
してから慣れ
It's
ること
something you
よ
get used to after you do it. Obviously, this is a very old world mentality compared to how we think now. I feel like one of my Umineko theories will push with Australia $2. I mean, my main theory is that Kinzo is Beatrice through some kind of time shenanigans. And also that Maria maybe is the one like, didn't I say she was like telling the story but from the future or something, or like the whole story is her like trying to piece together, like her in the future trying to piece together what happened in the past because she can't remember it or something like that. I don't know, I said some shit like that on the previous episode. I haven't had any new theories since then. This sentence from Ava, like, I feel like this is very obviously wrong, right? Like, you don't want to spend your whole life with somebody that you didn't know at all beforehand and just like try to get used to them. I do think there is something missing, though. I think there is. I think people, through the mentality that like, if you're gonna spend your whole life with someone, then they must be perfect, and that like prevents people from just like accepting that whoever you meet, you will have to get used to certain things about. Like, nobody is gonna be exactly like you or exactly what you're looking for. It's like you kind of just hope that there's enough there to make it worth putting up with them, you know? Like, there's always gonna be an aspect of putting up with. So I don't think Ava's like 1,000% out of pocket with what she's saying here. Just maybe like 100% out of pocket what she's saying here. Only 100% out of pocket.
感情だけで結婚すると必ず後
If you
悔
marry just based on emotions, you'll definitely regret it. I'm really reminded of I don't know how many of you know about John McAfee. He was he created the McAfee security system that used to be like very commonplace on PCs. He died in prison 5 years ago from just doing too much crazy shit, basically. But he was a true wild man, a gentleman and a scholar. He called into the Dick Show once at Riley's behest, and he said something to the effect of, if you love a woman, do not marry her. Marry someone who will be like your partner in crime. But if you love her, don't marry her, and whatever you do, never tell her your real name. This was his real advice to guys looking for like dating advice. Was if you really love her, don't marry her and never tell her your real name. If you marry her, make sure you don't love her.
身元のしっかりした人を生涯の伴侶
There's
に選んで
definitely nothing wrong with choosing a person with a secure background as your partner in life and then building up emotions of love.
Auntie Ava, that's so rude to Uncle Hideyoshi.
私は
I
あ
love
の人
him,
の
you
ことが
know.
いつまでも一
I
緒
want
に
to always be with him and to live my life by his side.
エヴァ様、
Ava-sama, that's
素晴らしい
wonderful.
です。本当に
Truly
です。
splendid.
ありがとう
Thank
で
you.
もその気持ち
But we
は
built up those
二人で
feelings
夫婦
while
して
we were
時を
husband and
育
wife,
ん
you
だ
see.
そして今の
And I
私
believe
た
that
ち
in
よ
the
り
future we will
未
be
来の
much,
私
much
たちの
closer
方
than we
が
are
もっ
now.
と仲良しだと信じて
Ava is like my favorite, actually. Like, she's a psycho bitch and she's completely out of her mind. But I do believe she could bite anyone's head clear off of their body. Like, I think she might be like an otherworldly demon of some sort. And I think that's pretty fucking lifted. I think she's a badass.
私は
I think that's the best way for a husband and wife to be.
だからって
Although I don't think that makes it alright to marry someone you don't even like.
だからって
And that
好きな
doesn't make it
相手なら
alright
誰
to
と
marry
結婚して
whoever
も
you
いいと
want
いう論
just so
法には
long
なら
as you
ないわ
like them.
結婚は
A
一
wedding
瞬
only lasts a moment,
そ
but
の
your
後の
life as a
夫婦
married
生活
couple
は
after
ずっ
that
と
is
ずっと
very,
長い
very
の
long. This is the difference between adult romanticism and young boy romanticism. It's like you're like, I'm gonna marry her because she's the perfect woman. And Ava's like, fucking marry some bitch and fuck this bitch on the side. Why do you gotta make it all in one? What do you fucking you need to learn about being a rich adult? This is clearly the success family, you know. Anyway.
だから
So
一時
you
の
should
感情に
search with
任せて
prudence and not
慎
leave it
重
up
に
to
相手を
momentary
探すそして
emotions.
それは
And don't you think that your
人生
mother and
経
the
験
rest
の
of us
未
would be
熟なあな
better
た
at
に
that than a
お母
person
さんたちの方が
inexperienced
う
in
まく
life
やれ
like
るとは
yourself?
それは
That
そう
may
か
be
もしれ
true,
ないけど
but
あなたは私の
you
自
are
慢
my
の一
pride
人
and
です
joy, my only
どこへ
son.
出しても
You
恥ず
have
かし
grown
く
into
な
a
いから
fine man
立
who
派
could
に
match
成
up
長し
to
てバトラ
anything.
君は席
And
に
with Badalakun leaving the register, you are the only
お父
grandson
様
to
の
carry
血を
father's
引くあな
blood.
たにふさわ
We
しい
must
相手
prudently choose a
慎
fitting
重に
partner
選ば
for
ない
you. As everyone related to the Ushiromiya family knew, Ava adored George so much that he was the apple of her eye. But that didn't mean she had pampered him. She had raised him strictly, and he had grown into a charming man who wouldn't betray her expectations. That's how he was the apple of her eye.
あなたの相手は
We definitely aren't deciding your partner based on what we personally stand to gain from
あな
it.
たにふさ
I will
わしい
introduce you to a truly wonderful woman who's right for you.
今はあな
Right
たの
now,
中に
you
あ
may
る
still
青
have
臭い
some
若さ
immature
が
youth
それを
inside
疎
of
む
you
かも
that's
しれない
turning you away from this. We decided my best interest? How do you know what my best interest is? Sorry.
でもこれ
But
だけ
at
は
least
母さんの
listen
言
to
うこ
what
とを
your
聞き
mother
なさい
says on this
私
point.
があなたのた
Have
め
I
を
ever
思わ
failed
な
to
かった
think
こ
of
と
what's
が
best for you?
それは
No, you haven't. Not that I would know, because I have not experienced any life you didn't plan. The Pusher with Australian $2. Ava is just justifying having a mistress to her son. He doesn't realize that. I don't think he's picked up on that. I think he's thinking, Mom, I just want to marry a girl I like. And she's like, you don't, marriage is just how the state like recognizes you as a different type of a category of a person, you know, like it's nothing to do with love or whatever.
今はそれで結構よ
That's all you need to think of for now. Come on now, let's
お
go.
父様を待たせ
We're
てるわ
keeping
よ
father waiting.
急いで屋敷に行きな
Hurry
さい
to the mansion.
じゃあ
Well,
ごめん
sorry,
ね
you
ま
two.
た
See you later. George bowed to the two of them, and after bowing once more to Shannon, he dashed off to the mansion. Gary Owens with $2 says, "Here's some money. Go buy a Pepsi. Just one Pepsi." And she wouldn't give it to me! I could probably afford one Pepsi with that.
じゃあおばさんも行くわね
I'll be going as well then.
Alicia,
Sorry for
Alicia,
cutting your fun
Alicia,
conversation
Alicia,
short,
Alicia,
Jessica-chan.
Shannon,
Shannon-chan.
No.
気にしないでください
Please don't worry about it.
じゃあシャノン
Come on, Shannon.
私たちは
Let's go. Hey,
大丈夫よ。
It's alright.
ジェシカちゃんだって
I'm sure you'll meet someone
そのうち
wonderful
素
soon
敵な
too,
出会いがある
Jessica-chan.
ジェシカちゃんにふ
A
さわしい
wonderful person
素敵
suitable
な
for
方が
you.
ね。
私と同程度ってこ
So
と
if he
は
isn't at the same level as me, you mean a
成績
guy
の
with
悪
bad
い男か
grades?
ななんだかうぜえ
Well,
ぜ
that kind of freaking sucks.
もちろんシャ
And
ノ
of
ンちゃん
course,
にも
you
ね
too, Shannon-chan.
あなたにふさ
I'm
わしい
sure that a
素
wonderful
敵な
man
男性
suitable
が
for
きっ
you
と
will appear.
ありがとうござい
thank
ま
you
す
very much.
As Ava giggled and smiled, she approached Shannon's ear with a hand over her mouth as though she was trying to tell her a secret.
Stay away from my son or I'll fucking eat you.
Huh?
I said,
使用人風情のあなたに
I'm sure you'll
ぴったり
find
の
a
相手が
perfect match for a
きっと見つかるわよ。
lonely servant like yourself.
義務教育に行かせて
Have
もら
you
った恩
forgotten
を
to
忘
be
れて
grateful for your school?
身の程を知りなさい
Know your place.
This,
そんな
that's
つも
not
りは
what
私
I didn't.
ジョージはお父様の
George
血を
is
引
the
く孫の
eldest
中では嫡
grandson
男に当たるの
carrying
よ
father's blood.
ひょっとしたら
He's a
未
person
来
who
の
may
後ろ
bear
宮
the
家を背負
burden
う
of
こ
the
とになるかも
Ushiromi
しれない
family
人
someday in the future.
その期待に応
To
える
answer
た
that
めに
expectation, he has studied tirelessly, entered a wonderful college, and is getting wonderful grades.
そんなジョー
Do
ジ
you really think you're in his
無資格無
league,
教
you
養な使用人
incompetent,
風情が強い
unqualified, uncultured servants? Those malicious words all poured into Shannon's ears without spilling a drop. To Shannon, it was like cold water was being poured in there. Lapusha with Australian $2 says, what about Ava Scissor Shannon? Cut Shannon? She cutting her right now, that's for sure. And Furide Rika with $5 says, episode 2 seems to be the most overlooked question arc, but I love it the most for how it conveys its worldview / interiority of the characters. Definitely so far, I feel like George and Shannon, at the very least, you can understand on like a much deeper level than you could in chapter 1. Not that they are necessarily super deep characters, but like just that they feel like you get exactly what they're going for, you know.
I
私は
did
そん
we
なつもりは
This was all whispered in secret, and with the same smile as before. Jessica, who could only see Ava's expression, didn't think it was anything other than Ava telling Shannon some embarrassing story about love. When their secret conversation ended, Ava patted Shannon's shoulders as though to underscore her message.
大丈夫
Don't
よ
worry.
あなたにぴったり
I'm sure that
の
you'll
お
find
相
a
手が
partner
きっ
just
と見つか
perfect
る
for
から
you. Lapusha said, no, I meant scissor. Like, you want them to fuck? I can't picture it. I don't think either of them is lesbian enough.
ね
Right? Like, Ava... I feel like Ava and Hideyoshi have, like, tantric crazy sex. Because she talks like she puts out crazy hard. Like, she's fucking doing acrobatic shit. Shannon seems like, you know, probably a virgin. And so her and George are probably have some really boring sex. But one day, she'll convince him to let her eat his ass. And then they'll do it all the time. Ava's too closeted. I just think she wants to ride that dick like a pony. I think she would maybe fuck a woman in like a weird power play or like as blackmail, like some fucked up like weird shit. She wouldn't do it if it wasn't like some kind of awful weird thing. Shannon and Ava are both bi for sure. Where do you see the bi-ness in Shannon? Like, she's exhibited nothing that feels like attraction towards a woman at all. Ava, I could see it, but again, it would all be weird power shit with her. It would be like some kind of, You think Ava wants to be taught that she take it from a woman who is powerful enough? I don't even think so. I don't think she wants to be top. I think she's absolutely a top. I think she's, again, riding it like a rodeo show. Like, she's like a fit, skinny chick, and her husband is a fat guy. So he's laying on his back, and she's fucking doing squats on it and fucking twisting around and bouncing off the walls and shit. You know, like, absolutely, she is putting all of the effort in. Like, if you're talking about her, like, putting on a strap on and railing a chick, it would have to, again, be a power play thing. It couldn't just be like, oh, she's hot, I'm gonna have sex with her. It'd have to be like, she's hot, I'm gonna have sex with her in a way that fucks her life up. You know, like, that would be the only reason Ava would have sex with a woman, I think. You could still call that bisexual, but it's devious.
じゃあね、ジェシカちゃん。
All right, Jessica-chan.
また後でね。
See you later.
また
Yeah, see you later.
秀吉おじ
And
さんと
then
の
please tell
話
some stories
その時
about you
聞
and
かせてく
Uncle
ださいね。
Hideyoshi.
いや
No way. Ava laughed dryly and headed back to the entrance hall. Behind Jessica, who was cheerfully waving her hand, Shannon reflected very, very deeply on those words of Ava's about knowing her place. I felt deep remorse for my brief moment of conceit. I had forgotten.
I had forgotten. I am furniture. Furniture isn't human. So I am a being who must feel gratitude for even being treated like a human. And I am not permitted to wish for anything more. Even if people develop affection for furniture that they're used to using, that is an emotion on the human side, and the furniture has no right to hope for that.
When I was a kid, we were like so attached to furniture because my family moved all the time, but I think because we had kept some of the same furniture through all those moves, I got really used to it as like the only thing that was still there, you know? And so every time we would get rid of something, I'd be like devastated. You know, like we like replaced the couch, and I'd be like, "That's the couch. You can't get rid of it." Like, you know, crying. It's like just couldn't handle the thought of one of the few things that was constant in life going away, even though it's just an object. I think I was like probably 10 or 11 when I had like the realization of like, oh, this is like dumb. Like these are not this stuff doesn't matter, you know, like these things pass. Sometimes the new one's better, you know, whatever.
They should just serve with simple honesty every day. But that feeling I felt when talking with George-sama and Jessica-sama is a forbidden drug for me. In other words, it may have been an emotion I must not know.
シャノン、
Shannon,
先ほどからぼん
you
や
have
りが
been
す
too
ごい
distracted for a while now.
体調でも
Are
悪い
you
のです
feeling
か？
ill?
いえ
No,
失礼いたし
my
ました。
apologies. Nazis where it's too distracted were right on the mark.
Oh, god damn it, we're not in her perspective anymore. Even Shannon couldn't believe that she hadn't noticed Nazi until she had been called. This was supposed to be the time when she had to concentrate on the cleaning, but she had just kept sighing and hadn't accomplished
た
anything.
とえお客様がおられ
Even
な
if
くて
there
も
aren't any guests,
常
you
に
must
気を張ってい
always
なく
be
てはなり
alert.
そんな様で
Acting
は
like this is
後ろに
shameful as a
仕える
servant
使用
working
人と
for
し
the
て
Ushiromiya
情けありません。
family.
はい。
Yes,
以後
I
注
will
意し
take
ます。
care from now on.
もうじき
The
当主
head
様
and
と
my
主人が
husband
お
will
帰りに
return
なられ
very
ます。書斎
soon.
の清
Have
掃
you
は済ん
finished
でいま
cleaning
す
the
か？
study?
階段の清
Have you
掃は済
finished
んでい
cleaning
ま
the
すか？
staircase?
申し訳ござ
My
いません。
apologies. Not yet.
ええ、知っていま
Yes,
す。
I know.
ですから、
So I had
ルノにや
Lunon
ら
do
せて
it.
おきま
Who
した
the。fuck is Lunon?
あなたがもたもた
While
と
you
廊
were
下を清
plodding
掃し
around
ている
cleaning
時
the
間で、
hallway, she
彼
finished
女は
cleaning the
書斎
study
と
and the
階段の清掃を
staircase.
済ま
それは、その、
That's because
丁寧にお
I
掃除を
wanted
し
to
ていた
clean
から、
thoroughly, so it
時
took
間
some
がかかって
time.
しまって。
Shannon was simple and honest, so she would always carry out her tasks seriously and properly without any omissions, so she was always slow with her work. In contrast, Lunon skillfully cut corners wherever they should be cut, so she could complete her jobs with the results that looked similar to an outsider, but in a much shorter time. In other words, she was shrewd. Compared to her, we should say that Shannon, who had just talked back to Natsuhi when she was already in a bad mood, was not shrewd in the slightest. Yeah, that's right. Of course, there was nothing that Natsuhi couldn't stand more than a servant talking back. Her forehead creased and she spoke sternly. And yet her speech was slow and admonishing, which was terrifying beyond measure, and finally made Shannon realize she had said the wrong thing. In that case, you shall clean as thoroughly as you desire. Shannon, I order you to clean the reception hall right now. It is an important hall where several pictures treasured by the head are displayed, and where honored guests of the Ushiromiya family are invited. Clean it thoroughly so that not a speck of dust remains, and so that even you are satisfied. Of course, you will finish today. Until you finish and report to me, you will not be permitted any food or rest. Meanwhile, I'll be cunting around cuntily, telling people what to do, and generally being unlikable, having headaches about how unlikable I am. Understood?
Yes, madam.
That is good. Servants should endeavor to use only those words. The next time you talk back, I'll give you an even more severe punishment, so keep that in mind, fucking cracker. Engrave these words into your heart.
Yes, madam. Thank you for your guidance.
You are welcome. Natsuhi headed off down the corridor, making a gesture as if her headache was troubling her. Once Shannon couldn't see her anymore, she hung her head and sighed. This happened because I let my thoughts take me. I might be bad at everything I do, but I should at least be able to carry out the cleaning as well as an average person can, right? I can't even do that properly. It's so pathetic it makes me cry.
And there's something even more pathetic. Not only was I unable to perform a single bit of cleaning well, but just now when Natsuhi was scolding me, I was envisioning him appearing and rescuing me.
Wow, that's pretty gay.
If only George-sama had been here, perhaps he would have casually stepped in and saved me. I'm sure he would show up cheerfully, intentionally acting like he doesn't know what's going on, nimbly change the subject, and make me forget I was ever reprimanded by Natsuhi. I kept envisioning him, suddenly appearing from the other side of the door, or the other end of the hallway. I envisioned the kind of person that would be an appropriate partner for him in a marriage meeting, and I envisioned how unfitting I am for him, even until I made it clear I had repeated unnecessarily in my dreams.
姉さんは相変わらず不器用だね。
You're still as clumsy as always,
奥
Nei-san.
様は今朝から虫
Madam
追い
has
どころ
been in
が
a
悪い
bad mood since this
黙ってうな
morning.
ずいてればい
You
いの
spoke out of turn when you should have hung your head in silence.
Kanon-kun.
The mic is dying. Hello, 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 hello. The mic was suddenly really screwed up. Well, that's disconcerting. Has it been like doing shit the whole episode? That might be a connection thing if it was robot voice. Kanon was suddenly there. His footsteps were always quieter than a cat's, and he left no trace of his presence. She probably wouldn't have noticed him no matter how long he stood there. When the fuck are we gonna meet Ludon? The expression on Kanon's face was hatred. The expression he was making he surely made for Shannon, who didn't know how to do so herself.
奥様も
Madam
そ
and
してルノ
Lunan
も
can
地
go to
獄のあい
hell.
つは奥様が
She
どこを
knows
チ
her
ェックする
madam
か知って
checks
て
and only cleans
そこし
those
かさっ
areas.
きの掃除も
Her
そうだ
cleaning
が
just now is like
見て
that.
いたから知って
I
る
know because I was
本
watching.
当の意味での
She
掃
wasn't
除なんか
cleaning
し
in
てない
any
んだ
real
よ
sense of the
丁
word.
寧に掃除
She's
する姉
just
さ
the
んに
worst kind of
寄生してる
parasite
だけの
leeching
最
off
低な
your
やつだ
off of your thorough work.
そんな汚い言葉を
You
使っては
mustn't
ダ
use
メよ
such dirty
汚
words.
い言葉は
Dirty words pollute your
カノン
clean
君の
soul,
綺麗な魂
Kanon-kun.
まで来たからせめて
So don't use those words
私
in
の
front
前
of
で
me
は
at
そんな言
least.
葉遣いをしないで
Shit. Ugh, I only know dirty words.
Alright?
Kanon faced away, acting sulky. It was a dishonest reaction, very like Kanon-kun. Though it's still her fucking perspective.
But I was a little happy. He got angry in my
大
place.
広間の掃除は大変だよ
Cleaning the reception hall will be
僕も手伝う
tough. I'll help.
ありがとう。
Thank
で
you.
も、
But I was
奥
the
様
one
に命
Madam
じられた
ordered,
の
so
は
don't
私だから、
worry.
カノン君にも自分
Don't
のお
you
仕事
also
がある
have
んで
your
しょ。
own work, Kanon-kun?
汚らわしい仕
It's
事
a
だよ
filthy
僕の
job.
魂なん
My
て
soul was corrupted long ago. Kanon then hung his head and bit his lower lip.
手伝ってくれるという
Just
言
saying
葉だ
that
け
you'll
で、
help is enough for me.
カノン君も自分
If
の
you
仕
don't
事
go
に戻
back
ら
to
な
your
いと、
own job, even
あ
you'll
なたま
receive
で罰を受ける
punishment,
ことそしたら、
and that would make me
私は悲
sad.
しい。
Shana knew Kanon's character well. Sometimes he didn't reflect on himself. If they literally are perspective shifting between fucking sentences of the narration. How am I meant to tell that beforehand?
If I don't refuse forcefully, he will help me even if it means neglecting his own job.
Kanon was a little sad that his favorite had been rejected, but he realized that in the end, going too far would also cause her pain, and he gave a single small sigh.
分かったよ
Fine.
姉さんも頑張っ
Do
て
your best, Day-san.
Yes.
それに、
Besides, I am also partly to
私にも
blame.
姉さんには責任なんて
You
何も
aren't
な
at
いよ
fault at all, Day-san.
うん、
No,
あるの。
I am.
だから、
So go now.
もう行って。
Lapusha with Australia $2. Shannon is a couch, apparently. She is exact. I mean, she really believes that she is furniture. Also, hey, everybody who's super chatting in this show, just letting you know, if you haven't already bought my magazine, you should do that because it's only $3 and you'll get 30 pages worth of product. Anyway. Kanon-kun's face showed that he still hadn't completely accepted it, but he stopped being persistent and disappeared. Even though Kanon-kun had given me words of comfort when I was down, even so I was still dejected because it hadn't been him. That was simply a sin.
Far beyond any dream the likes of me could be permitted to see. Know your place.
Shannon, who had neglected breakfast, was already starting to feel her thoughts attenuate. But if she didn't finish cleaning the reception hall, she couldn't receive Natsu's permission to eat. That cruel Nazi had surely told the kitchen of that.
I have to respectfully receive Madam's punishment.
That's right.
My position in the world is furniture, and I had been intoxicated by a dream that is beyond me. I finished cleaning the hallway and went to the reception hall. Maybe hunger makes a nose more sensitive. The kitchen was far away, but somehow I could smell the delicious aroma wafting from there, stimulating my empty stomach all the more.
I got something that'll stimulate you, Shannon.
Until I finished up here, I could not get any soup. I just had to prepare myself. Several portraits were hung up in the reception hall. One of those portraits was thought amongst the servants to hold a special meaning. It was the portrait of the witch. That wasn't its true name, but everyone in the mansion called it that. The name of the woman with elegant blonde hair drawn as the subject of that portrait was Beatrice. It was whispered that she might be the former mistress of the family head, Kinzo, and also that she was the great witch who had given Kinzo his legendary gold. The witch Beatrice, master of the night on Rokenjima, she was gracious to those who respected her, but she would always curse those who made light of her. It was
in Shannon's character not to neglect rules and beliefs such as those. So she thought of the portrait of her other master as that person herself, and always treated it carefully, treasuring it. And it had become part of her daily routine to talk inside her own head to the witch who only existed inside the portrait. I bet you that bitch can read her fucking thoughts too. She was furniture. Furniture doesn't complain, cannot complain. So she had no right to speak her mind about her difficult days. No right to open her mouth and say those words. So she at least spoke her mind inside her heart. Those words she couldn't say aloud, she spoke inside her heart and protested to the formless witch. Of course, the witch didn't answer. She never consoled, and she never laughed it off. Shannon could only interpret that silence as she liked, as though the witch was at least listening attentively, just like God.
ベアトリーチェ様、
Beatrice-sama,
みすぼらしい
please listen to
私
me,
の話を聞いてくだ
worthless
さ
as I
い。
am.
As Shannon wiped the dust from the witch's portrait, she spoke inside her heart.
私は確かに
Just as Eva-sama
エヴァ様
says,
の言う
I
通り
truly am incompetent
無
and
能で無教
uncultured
養な神
furniture.
です。人じゃない。
I am not a person,
だから
so maybe I have
恋
no
をす
right
る資
to
格など
love.
でも
But in that case,
だったら
why was I given a heart which
ど
can
うして
know love?
恋を知ることので
Shannon paused there and held back her tears for a time. The sound of the rain which had started falling, along with the chill air in the reception hall, made her feel as though her shabbiness had increased another level. Her
本当の
shabbiness.
家具なら
Real furniture
心なん
doesn't
じゃない。
have a silhouette like a heart,
だから
so they
人
don't
を愛
have
したり
to
し
love
なくて
other
済むじゃないですか。だから苦しまない。
people, so they don't feel pain.
Come bring me down, bury me. That's just very emo, what we're going through right here.
If I'm just another piece of furniture, why do I have a
ど
heart?
うして心なんかあるんですか。こんな苦しく
If
て
it's going
辛
to be
い思い
this
を
hard
す
and
る
this
なら
painful, I wish I'd never been given this
こん
stupid
な
heart.
心なんて与えないでほしかった。
Yeah, let me know if the mic glitching gets bad enough that I have to stop. I assume it's a connection issue. That's usually what makes these robot-y. Oh, that was fucking awesome. That little Zelda-esque laugh. Naruhodo. I see.
家具に
To
心
have
を与
given
え
a
た
heart to
あ
furniture.
れも時には愉
Amusing
快なこ
games
と
that
を
one
する
plays sometimes. The witch, who never answered or laughed, answered and laughed. My imagination? Hearing things? No. After all, the next words became a voice, and I could hear them not with my heart but with my
人
ears.
間は
Humans have been
世界を構成する元素について
continually searching for the elements that make
紀
up the
元前の
world since
昔から
before
探
the
求を
Christian
続けてき
era.
た古代ギリシャ人
It
た
is
ちは
said that the ancient
Kaze,
Greeks tried
Hi,
explaining the world
Mizu,
with the four
Tsuchi no
elements of
4つで
air,
世
fire,
界の
water,
説明を
and
試み
earth.
たというその後も
And after that,
数千年かけて
over
人間た
several
ちは
millennia,
その
humans
4つに
added
さま
several
ざまな元
elements to
素を
those
加え
four,
5代
trying to
6代
explain the
7
world
代
with a host of
8代12代
interpretations.
と
The
さまざ
five
まな解
elements,
釈
the
で世
six
界を
elements,
説
the
明しよ
seven
うとし
elements,
た
the
が
eight elements, the 12 elements.
唯一の真
But they could
実であ
never
る
explain the one
一な
true
る元素
single
を説明する
element.
ことはできしかし
However, a
星
single
の
man
導き
appeared
に
by
よっ
the
て
guidance
現
of
れ
a
た
star
一
and
人の
finally
男
explained the single element that
つい
makes
に
up the
何
world.
かわか
Do you know what it is? Quarks? Shannon fearfully turned around. She's here! Right there, she existed. Not as an illusion, in reality. Nah, you've just had a psychological break. The contrast made by the lightning made it clear that this was not just a daydream.
それは
It is
はい
love. The witch of the portrait elegantly held a golden pipe to her mouth and giggled. She laughed at the ignorance which caused mankind's thoughts to stray far from the most simple answer.
その男は世界
That
の
man
全て
explained
を愛
everything
で
in the
説
world
明
with
した
love.
それこそ
That is the single
一な
element.
る男は最
With the
小の数
smallest
で
possible
世
number,
界の
that
構
man
成を
fully
説明し
explained
き
how
っ
the
た
world was constructed. Which man? Battler?
な
How
んとも
simple
単
and
純明
clear,
快
how
にして
splendid,
豪
exhilarating,
快爽
pleasant,
快
and
愉
thrilling.
快痛快やがてその男
The
の
year
生ま
that
れた
man was
年
born eventually came to be known as Anno Domini.
呼ばれるようになったが
Oh,
ね
she's still talking about that other dude. Shannon lost any words to speak. She thought that when first meeting an unknown guest, her first words should ask that person's name. But without saying anything, Shannon knew this person's name, so she refrained. No, surely as a person of this island, asking this person for her name would be the greatest disrespect, because she was the other master of this island in addition to Kinzo.
Beatrice-sama.
いかに
Indeed,
わらわが
I
ブラッド
am
リーチ
Beatrice. The face people make when they first see me hasn't changed after 1,000 years. The witch giggled at how Shannon's reaction didn't betray her expectations. Shannon realized that she had met with a being that mustn't be met with, and she took a step backwards. That's where the wall and the portrait were, so even as she gazed at the witch, she supported the witch's portrait on her back.
お前の悩み
Your
は
worries are
愛
due to
ゆえ
love,
それはすなわ
which is the single element of the world.
ちつまり
In other words, everything of this world. Sagmundalum.
それが満たされない
When that is not whole, it
世
means the
界が
world
満
is
たされ
not
ない
whole.
それは
It is like
穴の開い
continually
た水
scooping
筒
water
に
into a
水を
flask
汲み
with a
続
hole
け
in
る
it.
のに似て
Hey, we heard about this at the start.
くめどもくめど
Even
も
if you
満たさ
scoop
れ
and scoop, it is
永
never
遠の
filled.
心
An
の
eternal
砂漠
desert of the heart.
人間の
The
基礎
original
に
sin that
して
humans
全
are
てにし
founded
て
upon and
現在
everything is made of.
わかるか
Understand?
知識の実
What
を
Adam
口
and
にしたア
Eve
ダムとイ
learned
ブ
when
が
they
知っ
put the
た
fruit
の
of knowledge to
愛
their
だった
lips was love.
それを知った
Because of
のに
that, humans were chased out
人
of
は楽園
paradise
を
and became
人足り得
human.
たすなわち
Which means that what
I
makes one
wish
human is knowing
苦
love
しむからこ
and
そ人で
suffering.
ある
Girl
心優
of
し
kind
き
heart,
娘よそなたは
you
分
should
か
be
ったの
proud.
それを知っ
Now
て
that you have known it,
そ
you
な
are
たは
no
もはや
longer
神に
future.
そなたは今
Now you are
人間
human.
なの
Uh-oh.
我が名に
I
かけ
recognize that upon my
それを認
name.
めようぞ 凡庸の
Is it hard for an
理解の
inferior
辛き
being to
話
understand?
まあよい
Oh well.
許すがい
Forgive
い
me.
久しぶ
It
りに
has been a
人間
long
と
time
話す
since
の
I
だ
have spoken with a human.
饒舌が過
I
ぎ
shall
たことを
apologize
謝
for
る
my talkativeness. Without expecting a reply from Shannon, Beatrice laughed pleasantly for a while.
詫びと言っては
I
な
am
ら
not sure that this is sufficient for an apology,
わらわの
but I
力
can use my
そ
power
な
to
たの
grant
そ
that
の願
desire
望
of
を
yours
叶
if
えて
you'd
やっても
like.
よいぞ
Huh?
The meaning of those words surprised Shannon even more than the witch's sudden appearance.
そなたを
I am offering to
思
bring
い人
you
と
and
添
the
い遂
one
げ
you
させて
love
やっても
together.
よいと言って本来ならば
Normally, I would demand
それに
something
似合
of
うだけ
equal
の
value in
対価を
return.
わらわは
Umineko.
機嫌が良い
This is why witches beat genies 100% of the
それ
time. And you have never
そなたは
failed to
わらわ
pay
の
your
礼を
respects to me in the
尽くす
past. Oh wait, genies
今
don't
日は
require
よく
something
尽く
equal.
す
What does? Yeah, whatever. She's cooler than a monkey's paw. Yeah.
それへの褒美
That
と
is
してやって
something
も
worth
よい
rewarding.
Do you really
本当
mean
です
it?
か
Normally, Shannon would have been shocked by this guest who lacked realism and wouldn't have been able to speak. However, as she thought she had already been caught in the witch's trap, Shannon responded to the witch.
わらわの魔法に
With my
かかれば
magic, it is no trouble at all to arrange for a pair of people with feelings for each other to be joined. You mean it, don't you? Those words almost escaped Shannon's lips, but she held herself back with her final reservations of reason. A witch is a witch, a sinister being. The witch Beatrice is clearly trying to slip in through the cracks in my heart and take me prisoner. That sort of temptation was young, was right in front of me
イフも
now.
また
Here, too, is a form of respect.
心地よくはあ
It
る
may
が
be pleasant for me, but we will make no progress this way.
わらわは確
I
か
may
に
be no different from the image of a detestable witch that you humans hold in your minds. However, I respond
わ
with
らわは
goodwill
敬
to
う者
those
に
who
は
respect
好意それ
me.
は人間も同
Aren't
じである
humans the
その
same?
ように身構
Although
え
I
て
doubt any
好意を
human
返
would
せる
respond with goodwill to a hostile attitude
また
like
おらぬ
that.
と
失礼しまし
My
た
apologies.
そんなつもり
I
は
didn't mean.
Shannon finally realized that her hostility was rude to this guest, and she finally digested the words that had been spoken to her a short while ago. You are no longer furniture. Now you are human. The more she reflected upon those words, the more Shannon felt as though Beatrice could understand all of her suffering.
さっきの
You said something
褒美の
about
話
a
って
reward?
なんで
お
What
前
did you
が
mean?
その心を
I say that I can
取り返
arrange
す
for you to be
男と結ば
bound
れ
to
る
the man who has
ように
captured your
鳥肌
heart.
バラの肖像
You can
が
think of it as a form
き
of
び丹念
gratitude
に
for
磨いてく
diligently
れたことへ
polishing
の
my
礼
portrait
と
all
で
the
も
time.
安心せよ
Calm yourself. I
対
ask
価
for
は求
nothing
め
in
わら
return.
わは気
I
前
am
がいい
generous.
だがな
However,
対
though I
価は
ask for
求め
nothing
ぬ
in return, I do have a request. Look, here it comes. The other Shannon inside her heart sent her a warning. Sorry, that phrasing. The other Shannon inside her heart sent her a warning. All right. This is what she had been so often warned of in all those scary picture books she had read when she was little.
この島のすぐ近くの
Do you know of the small torii and shrine that have been constructed on a reef in the ocean very near this island? Shannon immediately remembered it. When you reached Rokenjima by boat, there was a torii and a shrine on a reef which was too small to even be called an islet. She had the feeling that Kumasawa had told her its history, but she couldn't remember that very well. A traveling mountaineering ascetic or someone had built it, or prayed at it, or something.
Yes, I know
知って
about
いま
it,
すが
but
それが何か
what does that...
魔に通じ
I
ぬ
will
も
not
の
explain
一から
everything from
説
square
明は
one
せ
to
ぬ
a person who does not know of demons.
早い話
To
な
make a
ら
long story short, it is causing
あれには
problems
魔
for
いって
me.
実はな
There is actually a certain
あの祠の
mirror
中
kept
に
inside that
そ
shrine.
れをそな
I
たに
want
割
you
っ
to
て
break
ほし
it.
いという
That's
の
7 years bad luck. I made that mistake once. That was a very suspicious request. Shana didn't know its history, but anything that might be stored inside a shrine would have to be something sacred. And she wants me to break it? Why would someone as powerful as a witch be unable to do that herself and be asking a human for help? There was no need for Shannon to speak her thoughts aloud. Beatrice started talking about this reasonable question before Shannon could give her an answer.
あの鏡の魔力は
The magic power of
わ
that
らわの魔力
mirror
と愛
opposes
人
my
の
own.
言葉でうま
I
く
cannot
説明
explain
で
it
き
well
る
with human words. By way of example, let us speak of the
食器の
differences
違い
between
とでも言う
utensils.
あの鏡は
That
フォー
mirror
ク
is a fork, and
わ
my
らわ
power
の力
is
はス
soup.
ープフォークでスープ
You
は
cannot
飲め
drink
る
soup with a fork, correct? I mean, it takes a lot of effort, but I don't think it's impossible.
あの鏡の押し付
If
けさえ
only
な
the
ければ
imposition of that
わら
mirror
わ
were
はスープを
gone,
飲
I
む
could
のにぴ
prepare
っ
a
たりの
spoon
スプ
perfect for
ーンが
drinking
用意
soup.
それさえあれば
Only I
ス
had
ー
that,
プも飲めるし
I could
岩ろう
drink
だって
soup,
掘り抜ける
or even dig my way out of a rocky position. I'm sorry, if only I had that, I could drink soup is really sticking with me right now. I kind of want a screen cap of. Just let me real quick. Okay, I want just the bottom text here. If only I had that, I could drink soup. There we go. Oh wait, maybe a little bit of edge there. Yeah, there we go. Soup. Oh yeah, Byrne did give Battler a spoon at the end of chapter 1. You're absolutely right. The spoon metaphors are getting fucking out of control. Alright. There we go. Just had to tweet that right quick.
目玉だってえぐりつ
I could even scoop eyeballs out.
だったか
Is that what it was?
I don't know what you're talking about.
She's definitely gonna scoop some fucking eyeballs out.
私の無教養の
If that is because I am uncultured, I apologize.
こういうことだ
It comes down to
あの
this.
忌々し
If
い
you
鏡
spare
を
the effort to
わら
break
わ
that
のため
most
に割る
vexing
手
of
間をかけ
mirrors
そ
for
の
me,
褒
as a
美として
reward, I will grant you
そな
your
たの願い
wish.
を叶えてやると
Ellen,
いう
you're
こと
right.
だ
Twitter, fuck Twitter. I forgot that they blocked your whole country, so we gotta post it in here. And also, Shadow hadn't actually done anything wrong. That's pretty adorable. Let's post this in the important cultured place. If you spare the effort to break that most vexing of mirrors for me, as a reward, I will grant your wish. I am in a very good mood
今日のわ
today.
らそなたが
If you
望むな
desire, you may
願い
change
事
your
を
wish,
変
and I
え
can
て
give
金
you
蔵
all
に
of the
授け
gold
た
I
黄金を
bestowed
割
upon
るのだ
Kinzo. She ain't gonna want that gold.
I'll have to
お断りします。
decline.
Yeah, you knew she was gonna decline. Come on. She literally only offered that so that she could listen to her say this. What did you say? When she heard Shannon's words, Beatrice realized for the first time that her expectations had been
理
betrayed.
由があれば聞か
Is
せ
there
よ
a reason? Tell me.
誤解があるなら
If there is a
どこをぞ
misunderstanding, I shall resolve it.
理
I
由なん
don't
て
really know the reason,
でも
but
今
until
日まで
today,
この島は
the
平
island
和で
has been at peace and
何も
nothing
起こり
bad
ま
has
せんでした
happened.
なら
So,
鏡
even
を割
if
ら
I
なく
don't
ても
break the mirror, the peace
Kyo
that
ま
has
でと同じ
existed
平
until
和が
today should
こ
continue
れ
into
から
the
も続いてい
future.
くはずです
What if I fucked up that piece real quick, though?
なるほど
I
なる
see,
ほ
I
ど
see. That is quite
それ
right.
はそなたの言う
It's
通
just as
り
you
だ
say.
あれを
If you
割ら
don't
ぬな
break
ら
it, the same unbreakable
割れ
days
ぬ
that have
今日ま
passed
で
until
と同
today will
じ日々
continue
が
unto tomorrow and the
明
day
日も明後
after.
日も続こうぞ わらわが絶
Why
対
don't
の
I
保
give you
証
an
をしよう
absolute
ではないか
guarantee?
ベアトリーチェ
Upon
の
my
名に
name
か
of
けて言う
Beatrice, I say to you. Uh-oh. We're about to get a Beatrice guarantee. If her guarantees are anything like my guarantees, this will be a problem.
割れぬ今日
The
までと
same
同じ日
unbreakable
々
days that have passed until today will continue into tomorrow and the day after,
それは
and
永
so
遠
forever in perpetuity.
永遠に
So, is this the moment when Shannon accidentally trapped everybody in Groundhog Day? Shannon was seized by an eerie illusion. The mirror was most likely something to restrain the witch. So breaking the mirror should have been something done for the witch's sake. And yet it felt as though Shannon had to do it for her own sake. It felt like some premise had been switched.
わらわはあくまでも
I have done
褒
nothing
美
more
とし
than
て
give
そ
you
な
the
たに思
opportunity
い
to
を
have
成
your
就する
feelings
機会
fulfilled
は
as a
割ろう
reward.
が割るまい
It's up
が
to you whether you
そ
break
な
it
た
or
の
not.
字割れば
If you break it, I
わ
will
らわは
grant your
そなたの
wish.
願い割らねば
If you do not break it, the
今日までの
tomorrows up
明
until
日が
today will
永
continue
遠に
for all
続く
time.
そなたの願い
Your wish will not be
永遠に
granted
叶
for
うこと
all
はない
eternity.
わかるか
Do you understand
何を言っている
what I am saying? Seems like a shakedown. The witch was telling her. She was pressing her, saying to break the mirror if she wanted to be joined with George. And she was declaring that if she didn't break it, then her feelings would definitely never be fulfilled.
やめてください
Please, stop it.
そんなの
I don't
聞きたくない
want to hear something like that.
そなたを苦しめ
To
たかっ
cause
た
you
わけ
pain
で
was
は
not
ない
what I wanted.
ま
Well,
あ愛に苦し
feeling
さを
madness
感
from
じ
love is the
人
best
間
thing
の
about
大
humans.
その感情を
You should
存
enjoy
分
that
に楽
emotion
し
to
む
your heart's content.
だが
However, if you wish to borrow my power, you can break that
い
mirror
つ
at
でも
any
あの鏡
time.
そして
And you can yell my name and awaken
呼
me.
びわらわは
I
必
will
ず
definitely
約
keep
束
my
を守る
promise.
これならば文句
This
はある
way, you should have no complaints,
そな
right?
たに今すぐの
I won't
決断を
force you
迫
to
るわ
decide
けでは
right
ない
now.
気楽であろう
I take it that is easier for you. Was this deal ultimately something she could feel at ease with? Definitely not. To Shannon, who was burning with love, tormented by passion, being tempted forever by a way of escape was far too cruel a trial.
この約束に期限
I
は
won't
設
set a
け
time limit on that
願いを
promise,
叶える
but there is a
魔法
time
に
limit on the
期限
magic that can grant that
その
wish.
期限は
That limit is
わ
not
らわ
mine
が
to
決めるのでは
determine.
そなたの
It
思
will be
い
determined by your
自ら
loved one
決め
himself.
意味がわかる
Do you understand what I mean?
I
わかりません。
don't know.
そなたの思い人
The limit is the time your
愛の
loved one
契りを
chooses
結
the
ぶべき
person
相
he
手を
should
決め
pledge
た
his
と
love
わら
to.
わは魔
I
女
am a
だ
witch, but I am not a
鬼では
demon.
互いを
I
愛し合う
possess no
二人
spell
を
which can
引き
tear
裂く
apart
魔法
two who love each
持
other,
ち合
you
わせていない
see.
のでね そなたの思い人は
I hear that your loved one will soon be attending a marriage meeting.
そなたは世界
You
で
may have
一番
stronger feelings for that man than anyone else in the world. However, that doesn't mean that you are the most appropriate for him, does it? I know who he will be having the marriage meeting with.
その娘
That girl is the most suitable for Ushiromiya George in the entire world. Well, shit. She came from a good school, achieved good grades, and has composure and prudence. She is more beautiful than you. Fucking doubt. Wiser than you, more suitable than you. Why would an ignorant, incompetent, uncultured girl like you be suitable? You know better than anyone. You are the most unsuitable. Even imagining that you and Ushiromiya George could be joined is sinful and foolish. Foolish, foolish! Know your place! Have you forgotten to be grateful for your schooling? Know your place. That was both their voices combined. George is the eldest grandson carrying father's blood. He's a person who may bear the burden of the Ushiromiya family someday in the future. To answer that expectation, he has studied tirelessly, entered a wonderful college, and is getting wonderful grades. Do you really think you're in his league, you incompetent, unqualified, uncultured servant? Stop it! Don't bully Shannon! Who the hell are you? At that time, as Shannon held her head, trying to protect her heart from the blade of Beatrice's words, Kanon ran in front of her. Kanon didn't care who this woman was, as long as yeah, well, last time that got him stabbed in the fucking heart. As long as he knew she was an enemy tormenting Shannon, who he loved and respected as a sister, nothing else mattered.
カノン君、
Cunningham, stay back. This person is.
It seemed that Kanon also realized that the being standing before him was the witch of the portrait, and also that she was a terrifying being. I just wanted to make Shannon take her reward, but it seems I said too much and ended up tormenting her. I shall apologize. But I will leave that promise as a reward to you. If you need my power, call me at any time. I have already told you how. Well then, with that, let us disperse for tonight, literally into butterflies. Hostile gazes may be pleasant, but they are bad for the figure, you see. Beat it. I don't know who you are, but you're threatening Shannon. Don't ever show yourself again! Seemed that Kanon's words made the witch horribly displeased. So, you do not choose your words carefully, lowborn. I am gracious to those who respect me, but brutal to those who do not. While she still smiled, the witch's expression began to warp. An oppressive feeling that couldn't be described with any of the five senses gradually filled the room. Even though they couldn't comprehend what it was, they immediately realized it to be something terrifying. If you were swimming in the ocean and something large went by in the water beneath you, you would want to escape to the land even before you learned what it was. This was the same as that.
Please stop, Beatrice. Kanon-kun is still a child. I apologize for his language.
You're not a child? Kanon blocked the way to Shannon at the risk of his life. There was a tense sweat on his forehead. In that moment, the witch certainly had Kanon's fate in her clutches. It looks like the sweat's on his face. She didn't even need to move a finger. She had Kanon's fate so readily in her grasp that she could crush it completely with a single twist of her own smile. Kanon also understood that. which is why he was sweating, and his knees felt weak. Arms are heavy, there's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous. However, Beatrice abruptly released that feeling of tension and laughed.
よかろう。
Very well.
そなたが
At
求
your
める
request, I will grant you instruction pardon.
カノンとや
Canon, is
彼
it?
女に免じ
In deference to her, I shall forgive you tonight and send you off.
感謝するが
Be
よい。
thankful.
さて
Well then, we will disperse for tonight, once more, butterfly style, as I was
別れ
doing.
の挨拶
In parting, I shall
一
leave a
つ見
small
ようよ
souvenir.
二人とも
Hold out the palms of your
左手の
left
手の
hands,
ひらを
you
こうち
two. Beatrice grinned broadly and snapped her fingers, whereupon their left hands stretched out in front of them and their palms opened against their will. It was a strange sensation, as though only their left hands had become someone else's. It felt like their left hands alone had become puppets, pulled by strings hanging down from the ceiling.
これは
What
何の真似だ
do you think you're doing? Canon resisted, but he couldn't take back the freedom of his left
騒
hand.
ぐ
Don't struggle, it will not take
すぐに
long.
すぐ
Beatrice held her pipe aloft, and from inside the smoke, gold-colored sparkling dust hovered in the air. That glitter eventually became several gold butterflies. The beautiful butterflies danced freely throughout the reception hall, creating a fantastical and beautiful world. And two of those butterflies alighted on the palms of Shannon's and Kanon's hands. There was a sharp pain, as though they had been burned. When the two of them tried to examine their palms, there was no trace of that inability to move their bodies, which had been there until a second ago.
A bruise? What is...
On the palms of her hand, a small burn mark had been made, the size of a pea. Furthermore, it was shaped like a butterfly.
これは
What
何の
is
真似
this
だ
supposed to be? Apparently, Kanon had the same bruise in his hand. He stared at the witch hatefully.
単なる挨
It
拶
is a simple
たい
greeting.
はない
I have no hidden motive. It is nothing more than a bruise, so it will heal in just a few
手当
days.
も必
It
要
requires no treatment.
それは
That is a mark so that tomorrow you will not forget that I truly was here and that
そ
I
な
made
た
a
と約
promise
束を
with
交わ
you.
したわらわとの出会
The
い
impact of a meeting with me is strong.
翌朝に
Sometimes at the next morning, people try to think of their meeting with me as a dream or an
忘れようとする
illusion.
みんなゆっくり
You
考え
should
るが
think
いい
slowly and carefully, Shano.
そしてゆっく
And
り
you should probably take a good rest.
明日の朝
Look at my
日の
mark
話
tomorrow
をしよう
morning and try
改めて
thinking
考えて
again.
みるがいいだろう。わらわは何も
I shall not
強要
force you into anything.
そなたが
You
自
should
ら
freely
の
decide your
自由
future
に
by
未
your
来を
own
決めるが
will.
最も
However, to
欲
think
する
that
も
the
のの
object
対
of
価
your
がその
desire
程
can
度
be
で済む
granted
とは
for such meager compensation.
綺麗をテーマに
It would
戯曲を
annoy
書
the
き上
great
げた偉
artists
人
to
た
write
ちが
plays about
悔し
blighted
がる
love
ぞ
to no end. Well
そ
then,
れでは
let us meet again when the
縁があったら
chance
また会おう
arises.
久しぶり
It
の会
truly
話は
was
実
entertaining
に
to have a
楽しかった
conversation again after so much
さ
time.
らばだ
Farewell,
Come.
furniture. She done warped. Beatrice's body crumbled like smoke and blew away. Oh, she didn't do the butterflies. It was golden smoke. No. Oh, it is butterflies. No, a flight of golden butterflies. They scattered in all directions inside the reception hall, leaving a golden mist behind as they disappeared into thin air. After that, only the cold silence was left. The extreme silence was enough to make both of them think that they might have been daydreaming until just a moment ago. Which is why the witch had left it. She had left a mark to make it impossible for them to think that this was a daydream. As Shannon and Kanon thought back on the butterfly bruises on their hands and the pain they had felt when those had been left, they stood there for some time, stunned and motionless. And from that day on, Shannon was tormented by days of suffering and conflict. Oh. Well, are we going to see those, or are we skipping ahead? Post-suffering conflict days. Wonderful utopia. That doesn't sound like suffering and conflict. Alright, I need to take a short break and get something to I don't know. I need to get something. Wake myself up a little bit. I'm starting to feel very eepy. Okay. Oh no. So I might have to stop now. I'm a little too tired. I don't have anything caffeinated I can drink. And I feel like that was a good stopping point because we met the witch. We got like a little mission. If there's not anything like right about to happen that's crazy exciting, I think this would be a good place to stop. It's only been 2 hours 40 minutes, so I feel bad about that part. Because it's only like 2.5 hours of actual game playing, but I also don't want to pass out at the desk. Alan says this is a good stream, good intro to chapter 2. Yeah, it is very different from chapter 1. It's very structurally different. That's what surprises me the most, is how, because with Higurashi, I feel like the first couple rounds felt more similar, just because I guess it's like the same friends in the same exact day. I wasn't expecting us to jump so much farther back in time. And like, obviously this arc was adapted by the anime. The anime leaves a ton out, but it's also been 15 years since I saw it. So like my memory of anything beyond this point is incredibly vague. Like I remember a couple of key scenes from later in the show, and that's basically it. So I'm probably going to be pretty surprised by most of what happens from this point on. I really don't know where this chapter is going. Like the first chapter I had remembered more or less that like it builds up to them like not being able to find Kinzo, and then people start dying, and like I had forgotten that it was 6 people at once and all that, but like or that everybody dies by the end of the first chapter. But this chapter doesn't feel like it's building to something as specific. Like it's building towards Shannon and George's relationship, which in the first chapter was basically introduced and ended. So now we're like fleshing it out a lot, which makes me think it won't just be ended like that this time, but rather will be like maybe ended, like maybe they'll die at the very end and like it's extra tragic because it felt like, I don't know. But yeah, I feel like it's gonna stay interesting. Get interesting, stay interesting, be interesting. What was Gary timing with the 7 minutes 45 seconds? Oh, you were timing how long the... Are you saying the microphone was shitty for 7 minutes and 45 seconds? Oh, that's really bad. Well, then I'm definitely ending the stream before I get more of that. I gotta figure out why the fuck that's happening, because that's really bad. Oh, the time between mic glitches. Okay. So it just lasts a little bit, but it was 7.5 minutes. That's still, I don't want it to be, I don't want you to have to hear some fucking bullshit every 8 minutes. That definitely sucks too. All right, whatever. I'll try to figure that out before the next stream. This isn't the first time we've had weird mic issues, but it's It's like different every time. So I don't know what's causing it, but I did set this up pretty quickly tonight, so it's not impossible. There's like a wire that's badly in or something. Okay, anyway. No, I want okay. Save again. And thanks everybody for coming out. I hope you have a nice night. I hope you have a good sleep. I hope you buy and read my magazine if you haven't already, because it's good. It's entertaining. It's 30 whole pages of interesting little writings that I did. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming out. I'll see you probably before next week. I haven't streamed since last week because I was working on my magazine. But now that it's done, I have to stream to promote my magazine and make people buy it. So I'll probably do that.